All right. So welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. How's your Sunday going? How are you guys enjoying?
Oh, good.
Everybody's good?
Yep. Yeah, awesome. Excited for today, man. Yesterday was fantastic.
Me too. There's a lot of great people. And the nice thing about it's all recorded. You can always kind of like rewind it a little bit if you miss some of the people that are going on right now. So I'd like to welcome you guys all. My name is Victor Davila. I am an assistant professor at the University of Central Florida in beautiful Orlando, Florida. I am also the president of AIJ Orlando on the Creative Mornings team, and so on and so forth. And on behalf of Andrew Hawk-Rattle and the whole Canceled Con team, I'd like to welcome you to day 2 of the Canceled Con portfolio reviews. So how many of you were actually, I don't see a lot of your faces, but you can go ahead and join the chat if you'd like, because I know you guys are all muted. But if you guys do have the camera on, how many of you were here yesterday and saw maybe some of the reviews of the people who were reviewed yesterday? So a few of you. Awesome, thanks. And Mitch and Diane, good. I thought you guys looked familiar. And I like how Narek, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but I like your background. You're very on brand already. So that's a good start. So today, just like yesterday, we have 13 students from all over the country, and I believe maybe Canada as well, that we are going to be reviewing. Just so you know how this works, if you weren't here yesterday, you all turned in PDFs of your work, and I appreciate you guys following directions and reading your emails and sending me a PDF link. And I downloaded all your PDFs, and they're living on my computer right now. And when it's your turn, I will, you can go ahead and unmute yourself. I will share my screen, and I will be the one navigating your portfolios. At some point, one of our reviewers or yourself can tell me to stop, go back, and we'll have that conversation. In the last couple minutes, we usually ask you if you have any questions for the reviewers, all right? And a lot of times, these questions pertain to everybody's portfolios as opposed to just one particular person, so just keep that in mind. So if there's no other questions, I'd like to go ahead and start introducing our panel of reviewers. First off, she's the creator and host of Design Recharge, as well as professor of graphic design in the University of South Alabama in beautiful Mobile.
Yeah.
I'd like to welcome Diane Gibbs. Give her a virtual clap. Yeah. There we go. Next, he's the owner of Longo Design, as well as the co-host of the Deeply Graphic podcast, and a professor of graphic design at California State University, Northridge. Please welcome Nick Longo.
What's up, everybody?
And coming to us from the University of South Carolina, where she's an assistant professor of design, as well as a designer and illustrator who serves on the AIGA Design Educators Community Steering Committee. Please welcome Mina Khalili. I got it right that time.
Hey guys.
I got it right-ish.
You did that. It's a mouthful, Vic, I know.
And finally, he's an associate professor at the Rochester Institute of Technology, as well as a writer, designer, and visual artist. You might have seen him last night with his fireside chat here at Canceled Con, and he is a great source of inspiration and pep talks with his tweets and Instagrams. Please welcome Mitch Goldstein. There we go. All right. So we're going to go right to it. Do we have Lauren Kennedy here?
Yes.
Awesome. If you can go ahead and unmute your computer, I'm going to bring you up. And Lauren is coming to us from Parsons, the new school in New York City. How's New York doing? Are you still there?
No, I'm not there anymore.
Okay.
They've closed everything. So yeah, I'm back in California.
All right. So
good morning to you then in California.
Yeah. We're right there with you.
Yeah.
all right. Do you guys see Lauren's
Certainly
Yes.
PDF here?
Don't end the meeting, Vic.
I know, right?
Guys, you've been great so long.
It's been a pleasure.
And we're out.
Good luck with your graduation.
That'd be the most
Too
Victor
soon,
thing I could do
dude.
today. All right. Here we go. All right.
Ooh, great colors.
Lauren, I'm assuming these are links to animations or videos, which unfortunately we won't be able to see.
Okay, that's fine.
What's your goal as a designer? What would you like to be?
I'd like to be in advertising. Yeah. I'd like to eventually become like the creative director.
Oh, go back to, we got to see Dementors. That was fantastic. Oh my God. I love it. Please make t-shirts.
This is so funny.
Wow, this is great. Was this a student project, or did you just do these on your own? I'm
I
curious.
just did these on my own. Yeah, I did like a poster a day.
Okay, this is a daily project.
Yeah, I love TV shows, so.
Excellent. I saw some of on the next slide. You have some great ones there too. This is awesome. That's great. Cool.
These are great.
They are so great. There's always money in the banana stand.
Yes. Nice. Well done.
Oh, that was so fun.
Yeah. Ooh, that's really nice.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, nice. Very Target.
Yep. Good color palette.
Very canceled con.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
Nice.
Okay.
Ooh, there you
Thank you for
go.
the close-up.
Yes.
That's exactly what we're looking for.
Very nice.
Those little
Oh,
details.
whoa.
Yeah,
Look at that. Very nice.
All right.
Beautiful job.
All right.
Way to go, Lauren.
Lauren, what year are you?
I'm a junior.
Okay.
That's great.
So
wow.
where do you want to end up? Do you want to go back to California or do you want to stay in New York?
If I get a job in New York, I'd like to stay, but if not, yeah, I'll come back to California.
Gotcha.
Whereabouts in California?
Huntington Beach in Orange County.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
All right. So
I would say with that the first project, it does seem like the same thing over and over again. And did you do anything different with maybe unique assets that you can change up a few of your, like one or two slides to add something a little bit more variety to this campaign?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
It just feels a little one-dimensional compared to the other stuff that we got to see.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like always incorporating, if your illustration skills can be a really cool contrast to that as like background, maybe dark, like a darker red on that red in some fashion, adding a little depth and stuff would be really, really cool. But the lockup is really strong.
Can we bring up our phrase from yesterday? What do we call that? Logo slapping.
Logo slapping? Yes.
My students know
I wrote
that.
it down.
It would be nice if you had some other assets that went with it. And I think that's what we're talking about. Like maybe if this is a museum or a museum for fans. So maybe you break it up into 5 types of fans and then you make different icons for that. And then maybe do a web page or do a layout of the museum or I don't know, something else where we can see.
I like the five fan idea. That's really cool. Like all the different reactions they would have, you know? Cool. And this is just great. I mean, you just take this to as many applications as possible, you know, like turning it into an event, like where the best of the best was shown. And you could do the ticket, you could do t-shirt and merch, you could do the marquee. I mean,
I love that.
Really, really cool.
Yeah.
Tell us about this one.
Yeah.
The nostalgia of sound.
So yeah, I just played with basically nostalgia in my hometown, Huntington Beach, and I used it through like the lens of sound. So like firecrackers I would hear like during 4th of July. So I put that in that area and just like how much those sounds affected my life is how like dark those are. And like the spaces between them is basically how I traveled between those like via the map, I guess.
Wow. Very cool. Boy, showing a little bit of your data, maybe like, did you have maps and stuff that showed your positioning?
No.
Oh, okay. I was going to say like 1 or 2 slides to explain this would be, God, this could be one of your strongest things. It's just such a cool, I've never heard of that idea, like taking what you did with sound. It's very cool.
Cool.
Yeah, one of the things that we were talking about yesterday is how to present some of the work. Maybe having some sort of blurb, some sort of explanatory things if we're not there. So I'll put it out to the panel. So if you want to talk a little bit more about that.
Cool.
She has this little line at the bottom. So to your point, Nick, is that enough, or would you like to see even more? Or I know it's only 1 sheet, or how much more do you think?
maybe just how you like the initial idea, the first thing you did, showing some of the gritty process like we saw yesterday was so cool. I always stress to students, if you got something that polished and clean, show us the dirty stuff that got you there. And
I would agree. I think the work all looks good, but it's not superficial, because that's a little more insulting than I want to be. It's just not as deep as I'd like to see. Like I'd like to see more depth to it.
Is that the work in general, or just that particular project, Mitch?
I think for everything in her work is beautiful, but I think it's a little surface level for me. I kind of want to see more of a dive.
Okay.
So giving something that is has more of a long, like say a booklet that had 8 pages. So then you're having to handle other things. Cause right now, it's all kind of the same level of where you would see it, the user would use it.
Got it.
And you did all these illustrations?
No, I did not.
Okay, so let's talk about that then, because I know that was a concept one
about yesterday. Yeah, that gets a little bit confusing, I think. How do you feel about putting these illustrations in your work and then in your portfolio? How do you feel about that? What's your process within that working?
I would say, like, for this project, I labeled it specifically as like an app design. Like, it wasn't intentionally about the illustrations. It was about more the UX UI side of it. So I guess just making sure that, it's clear that I didn't do the illustrations.
Yes. I think that you have a good intention there. Unfortunately, I don't think that it is necessarily clear, even if you're saying UX UI, and by you, I mean generally, even if we're saying UX UI, I don't think it's implied that the illustrations are coming from somewhere else.
And they are a large part of the project. Like, they're the focal point. Maybe if you need to show again your layout, your structure, your wireframing, and the strategy behind the app.
Yeah.
Right. And then maybe enhance the logo or the app itself and say, I did that 100%. You know what I mean? It's savable, I think, but to everyone's point, it's taking over so much of this case study. Make sure it's more yours.
Totally.
And I know that there was a really good reaction to these. Anything that could be added to improve upon these as well? Or when you have a series of posters and it's just really one poster or one image in what you're trying to show, how would you suggest displaying that in your portfolio? Is it just a section of just like one-offs, a section of posters, or something like this where she has the detail of it?
It could be the whole campaign of the show coming back for a new season. So you can do social, web, outdoor signage, all based on this core drawing.
But it's missing one thing for
me.
It's
got to go deeper.
For me, Lauren, it's just a poster right now. It doesn't have about a season. It doesn't tell me what day it comes on TV.
Like a call to action?
It doesn't. Yeah, no call to action, no website, no Netflix or whatever, right? So that's something that they want you to connect. It's not just a pretty piece we're hanging on the wall, although it is really cool. But it's just that other level, smaller text that's going to give you take me somewhere else, because most people are going to want, and if you can show that in social media, like Nick was saying, or take it somewhere else, I think that that's going to also show the variety, because you may have the same palette, but you're not using the same collage each time. So then again, it shows a series. So to me, one of the things you're missing is you don't have a series. Is when you took the red and black app thing, I feel like the illustrations really held that together. So I feel like that you don't have a series to show. So I would like to see you do, and since the Photoshop collage was such a strong project, I'd love to see you do 6 more, and have one for each season, or one for each main character, or I don't know.
Be great too if, like, I always love when I see art like that and the campaign or the TV show goes, spot out all of the nuances in this illustration for your chance to win. Like, there's so many different things you can do with that illustration in Walking Dead, because you have so much good stuff in there. So build it as, when you pass a billboard and it says, the new season coming soon, April 6th or whatever, you know, you see that campaign being done in all these different applications and sizes. So show how it would look horizontal, show how it would look vertical, show it on social media, all that stuff. And then you get the credit for it beyond.
Especially if your goal is to work in an agency, you might want to think just campaign wise as opposed to just image wise. All right, Lauren, so we are out of time. Any questions that you have for the panel before we go?
No, but I'd really like to say thank you.
Of course.
For all the advice. It's really helpful.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck.
Thank you. Very, very
share your Instagram on the chat so we can all grab it.
Yes, totally.
Everybody do that.
That's a must.
We want to follow everybody.
Good.
Thank you, Lauren. All right.
you.
That was a great start.
And just to remind, we know that this takes a lot of guts to come up, and
Absolutely.
I really, it's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry, I have like a billion windows open. Next up, from Niagara College, we have Aaron Sanders. Aaron, if you're here, go ahead and unmute your microphone, please, and we'll get started with you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
How you doing, Aaron?
What's up, Aaron?
I just want to thank you guys for taking the time to talk to us, and I want to thank the speakers for yesterday. That was actually some good talks right there.
Yeah.
And,
Awesome. Thank you.
Lauren, thank you for sharing. That was actually very inspiring work.
Awesome. Are you on the, I looked up your school, and you're in Canada, or you're on the New York side?
Yes, sir. I'm in Canada.
Canada.
Nice.
We have a couple
Big
people
North.
from Niagara College today. We have Aaron, we have Elizabeth, so we'll get to Elizabeth.
Guys, we're
That's
international.
My girlfriend right there.
Oh, nice.
We met in school, so.
All right. It's good to know. All right. I'll go ahead and start flipping.
What year are you, Aaron?
Honestly, I just recently graduated, but we've never had a portfolio review.
Oh,
so
good. This is perfect, man.
Okay.
Okay.
I
That's
really
all right.
needed one, so I took
Yes.
the opportunity.
That's
What
good.
are you looking to do?
Honestly, I want to make my way up to like a creative director. Like that's the huge goal in my life. So
Great.
of some kind of studio or something.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
see what
go.
you got. All right.
Very cool, man. And that's your goal. Creative director. Do you like branding side? Do you like kind of, it looks like you like a lot of like just expression vibe, cool stuff here.
This is
great.
cool.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
is nice.
Appreciate that. That's actually an old raincoat, so it gets recycled and gets made into a bag.
Nice. Cool. Very cool.
All the illustrations, are they yours?
Yes, there's actually a couple down there that aren't mine. They're pictures, but
Gotcha.
those ones aren't mine. Yeah.
Dude,
These are all mine.
That coffee stump logo, amazing. I love that. That's really
thank you.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
we had
really
to
cool.
incorporate two brands together. So
Good.
And then these pictures, two of those are mine. So the Ancient Blood and the Peace of Mind. Obviously, the one from 1812 or whatever is not mine.
What? No excuses, man. Very cool.
I'm curious what everybody thinks about the sort of format of his portfolio.
I would
like
like
the-
to see it bigger, but
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan anymore of it because you guys keep talking about, like having different medias and going deeper. So I'm like, oh man. But
There's something to be said about just the consistency and and I like the cleanness. Like this,
Yeah.
you can even make it slightly bigger and tilt it at an angle and let a few corners bleed off. And then the
that's
next,
a really good one. Yeah.
right? And then the next page, it looks like it got a little like close to the edges. I'll let Diane talk about that.
just your
Yeah.
widows.
Yeah, this is killing me in the yeah.
So you have a widow, right? Do you so a widow has no future and an orphan has no past, right?
I always feel terrible saying that to my students, but it's
I know, but so that ing over there, and at least you're hitting return. In another one, you have an extra period after exclamation point. I was going to point it out later, but I'll.
I noticed that too, actually. I was like, oh man.
But
you
have,
you really wanted to make it pop. I get it.
But it looks like you have two spaces after the colon or semicolon, my photos, and
you have an extra space right there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, and also we spell anywhere. I worked for a magazine for a long time and we spell out any word 3 and under. I know Lauren had a 7 as well. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but definitely not only one space after a period.
Well, let's not forget he is metric. So, you know, there is that.
Wow. All
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I do think that I'd like to see sort of fuller images, but I do think what you're showing is done really well. Like it's
tight,
placed nicely. Yeah, it's tight.
Yes.
It looks really well laid out.
Look, if I'm having to pick at your periods and returns, that's terrific.
Yep.
But like, I would love to see these on separate
Those are
pages.
cool.
Like, there's just too many on a page for me, and I want to be able to see them better.
Yeah, like this cluster right here, there's so many different vibes going on. You've got a lot of different colors, and they are interacting with each other. So the orange red is interacting with the Weezer poster and changing the way that we're perceiving those colors. So I would recommend spacing those away from each other or placing them on different layouts altogether.
Perfect. Do you think like there's such thing as too many pages though? Like if I'm putting each, or is it?
Not if I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Your pace will go a little faster. Think about it. Like if you had 18 things on one page, we're going to be there for 10 minutes, right? But if you split them up, the pace of the flip is a little bit more. But you're right. If we're doing it, don't ever worry about it.
To me,
I
really
kind of lose focus.
I like the Weezer poster, but I think you've overdone that one typeface. So One Night Only probably shouldn't be in the same typeface as Weezer featuring, and then and then all the body text. I'd like to see that you can use two body text, and that you understand the display shouldn't be used as body text, and there can be too much of a good thing, because it's taking away the power of using it for that Weezer.
I think Carly in the chat had a great comment. I want to see close-up shots and see the details. I think that's a really good comment.
Very, very good comment.
The red fist one is my favorite, just so you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, that could be a whole cool social campaign for something. You could take that to a whole other level.
But you need to use it with something else, right? It needs to combine, right? Like that's what I think Nick's saying too.
That's the seed.
Rube Jaffer is saying maybe even mock up the posters. The thing that I tell my students is that it doesn't cost anymore to add another PDF page. You know, it's not like we're going for print. We have to worry about 4 pages.
Exactly.
It's like one more PDF page. So especially something like this, it lacks a little bit of that impact that we might have seen in some of the other books. So, you know, just something to think about. And you have such impact in your first and, you know, the front cover and the back cover. You want to make sure that you can keep that impact.
Yeah, I think it's just you've all got these beginning seeds to just plant them and expand them to more that you like. And what it will allow you to do is take one or two things out that might not be so strong, and you can just, you know what I mean? And you can really concentrate on the things that you're doing really, really well. This could be a book cover. This could be something so cool. There's something unique about that whole contrast of the older guy and the younger shadow. You know, like, tell me about it. What does that mean? Like that, this could be such a great little campaign.
But this is the beginning, right? This one is a beginning of something. It needs type with it. It needs to be applied. So I know you know how we could utilize this.
That's something that I think keeps on coming up is, what is the function? What are we using this for? I appreciate all of the posters, but exactly what Diane is saying, you know, how are we supposed to use it?
If you do look on the side, like I describe the use of it, but I don't really demonstrate it in my my visuals. Because this is supposed to be a magazine article, and it's supposed to be an imagery for it.
But that might have been the project
before the words.
But
you know, I want to kind of just. I'm sorry, Diane. Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I haven't done.
Just because that was the project that was given, if my student had something and they were like, you know what, I don't think this is a good magazine article, I'm going to make it into a book cover, I'm going to make it into a whatever, that's absolutely fine. Like it's just a spark that ignites something else.
We'll never teachers will never be upset if you do that.
a good teacher.
A good teacher.
Exactly.
I know teachers.
The ones that are, forget.
Because after a point, it's your work, it's your portfolio. So I tell my students that I might have given you some details to be the limitations of this project because I want you to learn this specific thing. But after it leaves this class, this assignment, it becomes your portfolio work. That's up to you what you want to do with it. So you can tweak it as much as you want.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. This was for a real magazine, so I had to like keep it that way. But you know,
I think also your coffee one could be expanded to something huge. Like we saw a really great coffee one yesterday that showed. I think we saw two actually. We saw the Folgers one, and then the own original brand. You take this and with some great photography, some great mock-ups, get some hand lettering mural stuff to this one. Like this can inspire such a great cultural, cool hangout spot. You know, that'd be a great cafe. You got the logo's done. Like just have fun with the rest now, you know?
But like we've been saying, it becomes slapping the logo on different pictures.
Yeah. So expanding on that and like, what's the philosophy of this brand? What do they hold true? Like what's their motto? Where are they located? You know, get those in there and let's see it in the graphics, you know?
Yeah. You go, Mina.
Sorry. I was just going to say the magazine one that we were talking about before, you had said that it was for an actual magazine, right?
Yeah.
Show it. I don't know if it was produced, but if you could show that, that would be helpful too. You can show that this is what you created, but maybe their production team made some, put some type on it and it was used in a different way after production. Show what that looked like, because that would say everything that we would need.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and we have about 1 minute left with Aaron. So I wanted to get, I know we've talked about this in the past, but here it is. There's a whole spread about branding, about self-branding. So I wanted to get your opinion. I'll go ahead and start with Mitch.
Mitch.
Again, I have to go through this. I'm not a big fan of self-branding. I do think you can do it well. And I think if you just look at it as a sort of its own design project, it can be a really well done design project. But I think when students are forced to spend a semester on it, it makes me throw up the mouth.
Yeah.
So this particular project, then, how Aaron handles it and how he did it,
I think it looks good. Like, again, it's not worthless. I think there's value to it, but I think it's often sort of pitched a little hard in schools.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I feel like this, to me, what I think your portfolio, it seems very confident in a way that's really good, that I really enjoy. You seem like you know what you're doing to some extent, you know, as you're presenting it really, really nice.
Thanks.
And so I think it's fine. Like, I think that first sort of hit of the portfolio seems tight to me. Like, it seems good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Aaron,
expand on this one. Expand on this one.
I'm sorry, Nick, what was that?
Oh, I was gonna say expand on this one. Like it's not so much self-branding. You actually came up with like this kind of alter ego thing, like with the stick thing, right?
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. So like make it like Mitch was saying, make it a project, not so much your self-branding, but because your result and your rationale is very cool about why you chose that when I read that. So
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Spread this up, make this something fun. Make it a brand, make it an apparel brand that has the same philosophy you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And Aaron, do you have any final questions for us?
No, just thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate the feedback.
Awesome. Good job, man.
Good job. And don't forget to add your handles to the chat so everybody can follow you.
I totally redid my whole thing, but I will.
Good job, man.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have, I'm going to mess up your name, I think, Narek. Narek. Thank you. Is one of Nick's former students, I believe, right?
Current.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
C-Sun's in the house. Finally.
Is this a ringer, Nick? Is this a ringer?
I don't know. I have not seen this, to be honest.
From Cal State University at Northridge, and he's already a canceled con brand. There we go. Which could be a good thing. You got to know your audience, right? I mean, I haven't seen the portfolios yet, but you know, off you go.
What year are you, and what do you want to do?
I'm a senior, so I'll be graduating in a month or so. And I love branding. I kind of like Aaron. I want to be a creative director and art director one day. And I like my passions are sports and movies and that kind of thing.
And you don't like InDesign, I see?
It's I do, but you know, I love Photoshop.
So embrace it, because it's really important. That's the tool most designers use. So I would want, if I was hiring you, I would want you to be really good there. So I need you to date InDesign and really get to know it, even though you're really committed to your relationship with Photoshop and Illustrator. I need you to expand, because that's the one most designers are using. I feel like when you're not using that, you're just training wheels on a mountain bike path.
Mm-hmm.
These look really good. Mm-hmm. You should be super proud.
Thank you.
I am too.
Okay. All right.
Your use of type, you have hierarchy. That's really well done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't need that comma there. So I know in the past day or so, we've seen a few people with mood boards on it. And I'm sorry, Narek had a mood board on his earlier that we'll go back to in a second. But I was just wondering I know we talked a little bit about process. So what about mood boards? Do we need mood boards in it? At first, I thought he did the work that was in a mood board, and that's why I bring it up.
It's got to just be clear, right, that it is 100%.
Probably just one page, I would say, and be very clear that it's the mood board or inspiration board or something like that.
I would say my overall thoughts on this portfolio is you look really tight technically, like you know exactly what you're doing, but I'm seeing a lot of existing imagery, lots of stock photos, lots of pre-existing stuff, and that's not necessarily like incorrect or correct. I think it does limit the impact of your work a little bit. I like to see some either more original imagery. I understand you can't go shoot a photo of LeBron. Like I get there's reality. But to me, it's a little glaring. There's like a little too much pre-existing images for me. But remember, I've been known to be wrong very often.
But wouldn't it be cool if you went to, do y'all have a basketball team there? Clearly not right now, but.
We do.
In Los Angeles?
So
right.
Why not?
CSUN.
Oh, CSUN, yeah. Okay.
Why not take that same sort of LeBron feel and then elevate one of the players that's on your team, and then you have access, and then you're actually able to see, and then you could also show a series of that. You could show it with the women basketball team. You could show the men's. I mean, I don't know, but then that way they could use it, and then that way, I don't know, it can expand. It could be something else that had social media presence. It could have a thing where you have all the schedule on it, or you know, there could have more life, and then you're not just using somebody else's photos.
Okay.
This is a little thing, but this is meant to be like a flat version of this label, correct?
Yes.
But the colors are different. Just
good catch.
Wow.
And while that is nice that it helps the cans sort of come forward a little bit because they are a little bit different. As Vic is saying, it is different.
Yeah.
Probably just don't need the package behind it. Yeah.
Did you take this photograph?
No, it's I just kind of messed with it in Photoshop. So like I put the blue tint like that's in all the photos. I kind of dropped it in there, but I didn't take it.
I don't know if that's enough to have in your portfolio, just adding a tint, because especially with the other stuff that you did with LeBron, you know, all the other players that.
Yeah, I would get rid of that.
Okay.
I would too. Anything that is slightly confusing to somebody who's reviewing your portfolio that makes them wonder if it's your work or not. That's any small little tidbit of possible, like it wasn't yours, or that can actually possibly put your portfolio on the cutting room floor. You don't want that.
So right next to INN on the first top left, see the space right after the second N, but the space between the I and that one, it's like those two are married, the I and the M dash, and then the N and that one have just broken up, right?
Yeah, they're all
consistent. I think even the way your line is inside this as just a graphic element, just again having somebody else go through it and find all these little ticky things. Like I really like word finds. I have my kids do word finds. It just helps them practice about seeing things. So that's a good tool to find extra spaces and consistencies.
Yeah, and folks, you guys should really be like paying attention to the chat. There's a lot of great comments.
Yes.
Coming through. Don't just listen to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this looks really good. It looks pretty tight. It's a little light for me. I wanted some depth, kind of like we were talking about with the first person. I want a little bit of a dive. It's just a little surface level for me.
Okay.
Not bad. You know, it's not an insult. I want to see a deeper conversation.
Do you see how logo is on top, but color is underneath that line? Can you just be consistent?
Okay.
Yeah.
And just for the sake of the recording, the comments that Mitch was talking about, Carly Sarno says, sports is more than wallpapers. Expand the campaign of those graphics, give it a purpose, adapt it to different social platforms and other players, like they said. And then Rube, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, Rube. Modify it in some ways, mock up that beer logo and the vibe pick in some way, make it look like a storefront for the brand, give you an opportunity to expand the brand. Ruby, sorry.
Ruby.
It's Rubai.
Sorry, thank you. Perfect.
Thank you.
Good.
All right,
Rebecca.
we still have a couple. I'm sorry.
I was just going to read Rebecca's something she
please do.
noticed yesterday and today is the scaling for beverage work. I know it's to show off the design, but it's weird when the can or bottle is overly larger than life. I like it in the scene because it feels like an ad when it was in that. Did you make the pattern on the floor on this one?
No.
Okay.
So
that'd be a nice switch up. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that could be an easy thing to kind of play with those stars.
Yep.
The star pattern you made.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what it comes down to, if I could summarize, it's a lot of, it's the same thing we've been talking about with other students, is that you want to make sure you're not slapping the logo. Would the panel agree with that?
Yep.
And you want to make sure that what you show on the screen is the best representation of the work and the work itself. Because, right now, this is all we're looking at as the D, how much more can we push it? How different wall graphics or whatever, as opposed to just dressing up the logo with a cool image when the image isn't ours.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions for us, Narek? For the panel.
Well, the sports posters, but I guess Carly kind of answered that for me. I was just, because that's kind of what I've been getting into recently. That's some of that work has been made very recently. I was just trying to see how I could expand those and make it like give it more depth.
Diane, do you have a comment on that?
So Bethany Heck did a project. If you look her up, she Heck House, I think .com is her. She does a lot of stuff with older sports, and her thesis was really, it's very talk about what Mitch is saying he wants and what we all probably want. She really fleshed it out. So there was web, there was product, there was a magazine, there was all kinds of things that went with it. And if you like sports, she also likes sports. She may be somebody to connect with. She's an amazing typographer, and she really pushes, and she uses some old images from the Library of Congress, which you have access to, which are high-res images. And so it may be something that you could at least get some ideas from of what that expansion could look like.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Very cool.
On that note, thank you so much for participating. Let's give it up for.
Yeah.
All right.
You guys, thank you.
All right. So keep the comments coming. If you have just any 2 cents on what we're seeing here, please add it. Next, from Northern Illinois University, we are welcoming Sarah Kloss.
Hi.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
Hi.
Oh, you are so color coordinated. Look at you.
I didn't intend for it to be like that.
Your room, you got a little blue shirt on. I love it.
know.
Awesome.
All right.
What are you hoping to kind of get into in your future? What's your vibe?
Well, I'm a senior, and I am kind of, I think at this point, just hoping that I get a job somewhere.
That seems reasonable.
I mean, I want to do, eventually down the line, I'd love to be a creative director. I've been looking at a lot of jobs in Chicago, so we'll kind of see what happens. But yeah, we're just going to kind of see what happens.
So one thing I just keep hearing everybody say that I would love for you to talk to somebody or talk to 5 creative directors and see what their job path was, because I think that will help you take the next steps that you need to take. Because it's not like you go from I graduate, I get my first job, and then the next job is creative director, right? Yeah. And I don't think anybody thinks that, but it's, if you don't know what path you're needing to take or what the next steps are. So you might want to talk to 5 of the people that you would really like to or read or listen to podcasts on them or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has a totally different path. You're so right.
And I also think job titles are kind of tricky. Maybe not so much creative director, but I've had students have gone straight from school and become art directors because that's what they call it at that particular company. Whereas a junior designer is what a senior designer does in another company or vice. It's just kind of like these weird kind of terms too. So I don't know if you've had the same experience.
Yes.
Those look really
nice.
Really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us? Yeah, I agree. Mitch, can you tell us about these a little bit, Sarah?
Yeah, so this was it was actually a project that I really hated at first because I couldn't figure out why my professor was assigning us to make a calendar when I was like, do people even use those anymore? And so yeah, I basically was just like, all right, I'm just going to use this to kind of challenge myself and see what I can do with it. Like really push. Oh, you have a calendar. Okay. So
yeah.
But it's about a series, right? It's showing something different, 12 things, but what's connecting them.
Yeah.
So that's what's really powerful. But I would love to see one of these bigger and then have the rest kind of as smaller so that we could kind of dig in to see.
Yeah.
A really interesting solution to this problem for sure.
Ruby even just mentioned this would make a great planner. You could do a really cool organized stationary stuff, like a whole set that would be at Office Depot or something.
Yeah.
Why not?
Or Target.
Totally.
Yeah, I think they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Sarah, where do you want to end up living?
So I'm currently in the suburbs of Chicago, so I'd love to be in Chicago and that design scene kind of there. So there's a lot of UX that's booming in Chicago and in the suburbs. So maybe I'll find myself in that area, but yeah, hopefully Chicago.
Good. Can we go to the last page, Vic?
Sure.
To me, this falls really short. It's kind of just, it's a little bit of a throwaway. You're not expanding on it. I want to know a lot more about each of these.
Okay.
It's sort of very unmemorable. And I feel like if you expanded on them, they would be very memorable because these look really good.
I like Phantom Ranch a lot. That's
they look really cool.
You can even do a version of it where Phantom Ranch is stacked vertically. Same, you know what I mean? And two different orientations or tilt at 45, but I could see a whole campaign being based off of that and making that a adventure wear or camping gear or whatever. What was it? I'm curious.
So Phantom Ranch is a camp that I work for in Wisconsin. So I do that during the summers when I'm not in school.
Perfect.
Just to be clear, you mean this one?
Absolutely.
Nick, right? That one, Nick?
Yeah, Phantom Ranch. Yeah.
As opposed to, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the leaf
badge.
one. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So does it get used, Sarah? Has it been applied?
Yeah. So the leaf one on the left was applied to a water bottle and a sticker. So that was our summer bottle. And then the 65 years one was done for annual celebration kind of a thing.
Yeah, I want to see all that.
I want to see it.
Sarah,
as far as we're concerned, that's the official logo of Phantom Ranch. So take it away.
Sarah, one of the things I think as a creative director, art director, you have to write about your stuff. I would never want you to say, oh, this is green or this is orange and it has blue around it, right? I'm not blind. So if you say these are a few logos I've created, I hope so. These are in your portfolio, right? Yeah. So instead, tell me that these are being used. So don't tell me things that I should know. I would tell me about the project, and I would separate these out right into two different the Phantom Ranch, and then show it on the water bottle. That would be even better.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've never been really taught how to put together a PDF portfolio. So I'm here for a lot of learning.
Well, we're all gonna be sharing a lot of that in the next few weeks as instructors. So definitely follow us and you feel free to send any of us, including myself, an email. I'm building all that right now for our students. So we're here to help you out 100%.
Thank you.
The other thing, Sarah, is nobody taught me that either. So you just have to do that research and you have to find PDFs and then see what works for you.
It's out there. It's out there.
Right?
Yep. So on that note then, one of the things that we spoke about with one of the previous students is the length, how many, I think it might've been Aaron maybe that asked how many pages is too many pages. Whereas this one, we already talked about how she could expand the logos a little bit more. And this one is relatively short, shorter than the other ones. Is it too short, or is it just enough? Will the expansion of the logos be enough? And I'll go to Mina. What do you think, Mina?
Oh, in terms of the logos?
In terms of like or anybody, or expanding the overall
amount of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, well, the thing is, one of the things that I find so interesting is that initial insulin work, the infographic on the insulin. And it seems like it's the only thing that is doing this work except for the calendars, right? So there's obvious really nice work that's being done in terms of like small information, digesting specific chunks of information. This is not easy work for a lot of people, right? So I actually think this particular piece is a very interesting piece and tells me a lot about you as a designer and a conveyor of visual information.
Absolutely.
And I find that to be really, really important. Yep. As opposed to the logos. The logos are great, you know, and like I said, I want to see them applied. And I want to see the products that they were applied to. But the other work, that's really difficult work. So I'd like to know more about it.
Yeah, I think detail shots of that infographic would be great, because then we can see how you're handling typography, can see how you're really relating sort of, you know, the information visualization and all that stuff.
Yeah. And these are great, because if you can convince someone of what your message is, what you're trying to prove in an infographic, it's great too by having the big graphics that need to be big, the smaller, all that hierarchy. I would just suggest a bit more color, a bit more of a brand essence to it. I think that's one of the best things I love about a successful infographic, is when it feels like it's attached to a personality the same way we do with logos, you know. And your sandwich one, there's a start of something cool there. Blow that one out to a full restaurant. Maybe it's all, you know what a cool thing to do now is the whole trend of ghost restaurants, which are just places that cook and do food delivery. You could kind of change, that's a great hot topic to build a campaign for right now. Start it with this one. So it's all to go, all ordering only. It's not a physical place you can go to. Be a fun play to, you know, the times now. It's a really good thing to try it.
Yeah. To me, I think the work is at a very high level. Like all the work looks good and tight, and like, you know what you're doing. And I just think it needs a little more meat.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
And Diane, on the note that Nick was talking about earlier with the sandwiches, I don't think the chat will be recorded. Will be saved with record.
It is.
It is?
Yeah, but you have to download it and you can give the file, but I can show you how to do that later.
Oh, you want to go ahead and repeat what you wrote down though?
Pretty much, I just think the Sandwee, I don't know. I love this one, I think, but why don't you do a menu board, a big one in store, and then do a in-hand menu, like a to-go menu, and then how would you do, what about packaging, ads or poster or packaging? I would love to see that in this. And if you like UI UX, really dig into some of the ways that how I think we've talked to other people about this, you know, maybe move add to order to the right, switch customize, put over to the left, because add to order is where you would want to go, you know, just where you're clicking. But there's the subtleties of this one. This one has just like what Nick was saying, like utilize it. Then people see that you are a problem solver for what is going on today. And then they want you because you know how to think.
Yeah. Awesome. You nailed it. Problem solver. Every one of these case studies should talk about what the problem was and how you solved it in your case study. So that's right. That's like the overlying thing.
So Sarah, do you have any questions for us as we run out of time?
Yeah. So when you guys talked about like close-up shots, is it better to have those like physically photographed or just like digitally close? If that makes sense.
Depends on what you're using. If it's a digital, export it much higher resolution, clean. If it's the real deal, you know, take better shots or exactly. It's more about getting into some of the details that you have to really show them off.
Right.
So one thing about the insulin, why don't you bring in some like tools that instead of just having the United States, right? Why don't you bring in like a blood monitor or a needle or things, how we check insulin. And then you use that to filling the space instead of just a circle, or do you know what I mean? So think about the tools that we use in diabetes. I love this. Talk about affording insulin, where, you know, maybe it's money signs or something that it's the cost of this. I just think you could come across it just doesn't have enough life for me, but the content is really good. And I love that the way you've done the timeline, it looks really organized. I just want your graphics to be something a little bit more powerful about the message.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, Sarah.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Way to go, Sarah. Way to go.
Thank you.
Don't forget to add your social handles to the chat so we can follow you, please.
I will. Thank you.
And the bees are good too. Just nobody said anything, but you could do that. Like, I feel like it was a good piece. It's a good piece. Don't get rid of it.
All right. Next up, we have one of mine, Emily Walker from the University of Central Florida. Emily, are you there?
Yeah, I'm
here. You want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
Hey. What's up, Emily?
Hi, how are you guys?
Good.
Awesome.
All right. Okay. I'm sorry. I lost track of what I'm doing. All right. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
You go super fast because you know it.
Sorry.
Slow down, buddy.
I've seen this all. What do you guys think?
So just even in that small amount, I can tell you work really well with colors, and they are not always the typical color palette. So way to go.
Don't erase that one from your Illustrator palette. The default colors, right?
Yeah.
Pull from inspiration. Use that eyedropper. This looks great. Yeah. Love the colors. And did you do all the copywriting of like the name ideas?
Yes, that's all my.
Oh, make sure you're singing your praises there. That's awesome. I like when that happens.
Thank you.
I'd love to see one of those bigger, and then I'm not sure I would need to see.
That's a great idea.
Or maybe have multiple pages of these.
Okay.
Same thing with this. A lot's on a page for me. I'd like to dig in.
Yeah. It is too much on a page. You've got print and web. Let's separate them, but I love them. I think they look so fun.
The web looks really good. That form looks wicked ass big, so you need to make that smaller.
Okay.
But it looks so clever, right?
Yeah, it's really energetic. It's fun. It's everything that ice cream and these sorts of treats are supposed to be.
Yeah, those little drips.
You're supposed to. Yes, you're supposed to be brought into this really youthful, whimsical feeling through these colors. Doing that, you're making me forget all about the calories. It's great.
That's the goal.
That's your motto.
And that subtle pattern is really nice too. The subtle pattern in the bottom left-hand corner. Okay.
Like the badges too. They're just really nice.
Yeah.
But you got to separate these things out. There's too much going on that one page. We want to be able to dig into one part, and there's too much going on.
Oh, this is nice. It's got the corporate vibe, but it still feels like it's got a little energy to it. It's great.
Great palettes. Color use is phenomenal.
Ooh, I love the purposeful blah, blah, blah. I couldn't read it because Victor went purposeful, achievable, compelling, intentional, understanding.
Too small though.
Yes.
Yep.
Very hard to understand what we're looking at.
Okay.
But it looks great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Ooh, I like this.
Hey. Oh, yeah.
Too much on a page still. But
too much, but it looks good.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Can you make a promise to me, Emily, to not justify type? I'm drowning in those rivers.
There.
Yep. God,
we see it done, but
take one of these and make it 200% on a page. So you got one big one and one small one. I want to see the details there because I love the little geometric kind of color shapes of the vibe. That's cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, can we go back a little bit? Sorry.
Really nice.
Lord, you go so fast. That's really beautiful.
This is really, really nice. I am missing those two bottom corners between and freedom and light and life. There's
you're right.
And how freedom, the M goes up to the apex of the. So I'm missing some. I would love to see something there.
They look like the guy from Tiger King with the teeth.
You're watching Mitch
You know what I'm
Exotic.
talking about.
I still haven't seen that.
Gappy, very gappy.
He's like, don't lie, everybody knows.
That space, do you see that? It's different. So why is this different?
Yeah,
It looks like this and this are the same, but this got real tight.
Yeah, thank you.
And so this area and this area, I just feel like needs to have something.
You could probably make light, life, and the and goes down to the corner, and then light from freedom goes to the corner. Same way you see what I mean? Like you're filling in. They kind of they nestle nicely together.
Mm-hmm.
What about the commas
I just wanted to draw a smiley face.
Oh,
good.
I was wondering who that was.
Oh, commas. I know that's so tough.
I don't know that we need them.
That's what I think.
Yeah, I don't think we need them.
You're designing something that's sort of like a badge. I don't know that we need grammar. It's okay.
Because that one goes off in a different baseline from the
it's weird. So kill him.
More problems.
Kill him.
This is so nice. Yeah.
Gotta be twice as big on your page. That's awesome.
Yeah, it looks great.
Really, really nice. I want to see that. There you go.
Ooh.
Oh,
really?
wow.
I love all these assets. So you created all these?
Yes.
Nice.
Nice.
She's like, yes. Good for you.
Oops, sorry.
So are we able to see the motion graphics, or we're going to see the panel? Okay.
We'll see
the storyboarding.
Did you make that type?
For the Lord of the Rings?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, I did that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Way to go.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, looks good.
And you made the illustrations?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, good. I like the texture in the water. I think that's really nice.
Yeah,
I've never seen that before. That's kind of nice.
Ooh.
Here's the rivers that we were talking about earlier.
I'm drowning.
That looks fantastic.
Oh, this is great too.
Ooh. Really good variety.
Yeah, that type is so fun. Yes, and just both of these.
Oh, sure. Totally different like directions too. The fitting it in within a circle is like one of the toughest things. I would say don't do it unless you can craft it. That's really well crafted. I love that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I will say this area here and this area here. Once again, we just those dots, those points are doing something different, and I just want to point that out. But they're glorious.
Rebecca put Emily's animation link on YouTube.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, great.
Thanks, Rebecca.
What a good lifter, Rebecca.
Yeah. These are great too. Got a nice sunny feel to them. Love those colors. Oh, really nice to put this in there. I love that.
Okay.
Just keep in mind too, if you're going for a branding position and you're in an interview and you show that page of photography, and I know that you could do that for me, and I don't have an on-staff photographer, you've just added your value so much. So to anybody listening, if there's any side thing you do this good, throw it in there.
What about the side view of Orlando from this, like,
which page?
Go back. Back. Forward.
Photography.
Forward. Yeah, photography. It's like there, right there, next to the guy in the woods.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it meant to be that way?
Yeah, I did it because I thought it looked cool, but I can totally
It feels like it didn't fit. Like, but I want to throw it in. So
like, I'm keeping this grid alive, baby.
So, but that isn't your best. So you are good with people. You're good with moment.
Capturing a moment.
And so forget the city. Kill the city. You've got the other stuff. Keep that.
Yeah.
Don't kill
Anybody
the city.
Can shoot
just
a
delete that picture.
All right, delete that.
Yeah, I would say the work overall, very sophisticated, very confident. You know what you're doing, or at least you are faking it really well. Either way.
Depends on the day.
It looks great. I mean, the work looks really good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So if there's any one or two things that we can say, it looks great, but let's work on this, as opposed to those little kind of like maybe changing the photograph or we're talking about the rivers.
I would say scale.
Scale.
For me, it's really scale. I want to see, like we've said, I want to see the details much bigger. I want to be able to dive into some of that stuff. Some of it looks so intricate that I really want to see.
Which seems to be like the ongoing theme today, more so than yesterday, is how we see the details of these images.
And we said it yesterday. I think now is time to bring up that everybody listening to this, you all have to be really, really good at typography. Just straight up. It is not an option not to totally kill your type. And I agree with Diane, the justified text with the rivers is not helping. It's really not. You don't need to do that. So I think all of you really have to dial in your typography.
What that does,
I would agree.
It makes it like you have a stutter, and not anything wrong with anybody who has a stutter, but it's just hard to focus. So you just want it to be seamless, right? It's like going into a museum and there's a bunch of Monet and they're playing Metallica. What? Like I didn't think that would happen, right? So one thing I love about yours here is I didn't even have to notice all the spaces between the photos. The spaces between the two different lines are all the same throughout your whole piece. So there's this consistency, and that you know how to make something consistent through however many pages is in your portfolio. Emily, where do you want to go?
I would love to stay in the Central Florida area. That's
okay.
Yeah.
I like to hear that part just because I like to have her around. But there's a designer in Orlando. His name is Michael Forrest, and he recently had this talk where he said in graphic design, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 + 1 equals 3. And the analogy he had is like, let's say you had these two things next to each other. 1 + 1 equals the third thing that's in between, because that white space in between the other two pieces is just as important. So I think that's kind of like what Diane was saying about the evenness. You don't have to notice it, but we know it doesn't get in the way.
Well, and Mina said, we trust. Like, we just don't even, there's nothing for us to untrust because you've just painted the picture so well. There is uncomfort that we don't notice in other things when they aren't consistent. So again, it's going back and just making sure everything's the same.
Yeah, that confidence that Mitch talks about, that's the kind of thing that I'm looking for. If I'm hiring somebody, I'm looking for that so that I can know that when I ask you to do something, that you're going to take the reins and do it. And I'm not going to have to put my chin on your shoulder and watch you, Yeah.
Okay. Emily, any questions for the panel before you go?
So adding more pages wouldn't be a negative thing for details?
Not at all.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's great. Thank you guys so much.
Nice to hear.
Thank
you. Good luck. Well done, Victor.
Yeah.
I know, for real.
Just saying.
All I do is stay out of the way.
No, you don't. That's great. Good influence.
Victor's got his own analogies. He's just holding back today.
Really, Diane, you need to start writing all these things down.
I know.
Whatever, buddy. You have it just as bad.
Maybe we can all do it together. Just have a book of our isms. All right. Next up, also from Orlando, but from another school, Valencia College, we have Heather Strudgeon. Did I pronounce that right, Heather?
Yeah, you got it right.
Awesome. Thank you and welcome. How's Valencia doing?
Welcome.
Thank you. It's good.
Are you with Christy, Amanda? Who do you study with?
I'm with Christy. I'm actually taking portfolio right now with Jason Ellison. So.
Okay. I don't know Jason.
I was in grad school with Christy.
Oh,
Christy
really?
is awesome. So we can put that on the record. Christy's really, really cool.
Another VCU grad, people.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
All right, so this is the table of contents, and this, from what I can tell, is an InDesign file that was exported out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got your feedback from watching the others about making a PDF just for web, and this was made for print. I haven't printed it yet because when I was going to, everything got canceled. So I figured I'd take you guys' feedback and make the changes and then print my copies. So
good idea.
It's working.
That's fair enough. That's why you're here.
Awesome. Ooh, nice. Love your title page. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Love the colors. Colors look good. Feels very confident so far.
Is that a login screen?
So yeah, that was a tracking app. So can we go back to the landing page? This one. Okay. All right. So and then forward one. I'm sorry, I didn't realize she called that landing page. Okay. So this tracking application, we're getting a user journey. Is this?
Yeah,
oh, these are wireframes.
It's like a simplified wireframe version, just to sort of show you the user flow.
Okay, awesome. Just wanted to see it. Thank you.
And then there's more detail in the next screens. And then I blew up a couple. I did a lot of research on shipping container companies and what goes into that. So I tried to get the verbiage correctly. Like it's called vessels, not like ships, and there's services, not routes. So I tried to be, not many people are going to know those terms, but.
But the people who are going to be the consumer of this will.
Yeah. If I ever met someone that worked in this company.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those divisions or industries that could be, it's probably so boring and there's probably nothing exciting going on in it. So you brought in just the right amount without going like, let's brand it all the way. You know what I mean? Like,
I tried to keep it simple and
it looks really professional, and it looks like a shipping container company I would trust.
That's what I was going for. Thank you.
This is really fun too, by the way. This work here is really fun. Did you take the photos that were started off this project?
The photographs, no. Eating the food, no.
Okay.
I just manipulated it to fit like the brand.
Okay.
Thank you for spelling stationery correct, by the way.
Yes.
It's a little pet peeve of mine, but you know.
It is a hard one, but I did learn.
Yeah. Again, too, I think how you're going to refresh this into something more presentable on web or whatever will get these, like that previous page will get some of that stuff bigger, but you've just showed it off here a little bit nicer too. So you need some of this on the bag. Like this is the strongest part of your restaurant. The bag needs some of these bigger color blocks to be in tune with this, because this is beautiful. Your taco.
Love that logo.
Taco. Oh my God, I'm hungry and this needs to be in LA right now.
I got very hungry. I ate a lot of tacos while doing it.
Yeah. Looks great.
Sarah on the chat is saying textures OMG, and I'm right there with you, Sarah.
I hope they're showing through. They look a little, my screen brightness is kind of down, but
they look good.
They look great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Coming through.
This is exactly what Nick is talking about, getting really big into the details of certain certain things, and then showing what the actual product looks like from an aerial point of view right here. This is great.
Your bag for chips should say something about the chips, not Baja Taco again. And then you did that. You put like shake it up for the chips. You see what I mean? Like chips.
So chips to share or not.
Yeah.
I might go. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I might go with a full color and then a one color, because again, I'm just thinking about realistic. And if I know you can do full color, well, what if you did
budget
these takeout things? Yeah, it's budget. So I see you have 2-color napkin, you have a 4-color cup, but what about, like, to me, on the craft, it doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the white works well. So why don't you just pick like pink and just do everything in pink on the craft if you wanted to do
it? On the craft, that's what I was trying to do, to show an option on the chip bags, since that one's all pink.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Low color,
I see.
The low cost option, but I think you're right. There's like too much going on the page to notice.
Because your to-go bag will probably be the most used and most ordered one. So if you can show that efficiencies in printing, wow! Like a client is thinking that. Sometimes we're not thinking that in school.
There's budget sometimes.
Yeah, and in terms of like being able to read the actual legibility on the craft is harder anyway. So just changing it to a 1-color option gets rid of all those issues.
Cool. Thank you.
It also just teaches me that you know how to solve that problem. Yeah.
Good.
Oh, these are fun.
You just blew it out of the water. This is great. You're fleshing it out.
It also shows a lot of work, and I think that's just the cool thing. I want to know if I give you a project that has multiple applications and a lot of maybe even the boring stuff, you're gonna slay it. So that's cool.
What about a kid menu? Do you have that?
I don't. I was thinking that like the Taco Maniac shirt, the pink one, would be like a kid's shirt, but I didn't really think about that until I was kind of done. But a kid menu would be fun with like a coloring page.
Yeah.
That's like black and white and crayons.
A kid's meal, little container.
Yeah. If you're going kids on that, also throw a onesie in there just for fun. I mean, I always find it to be outrageous to see onesies in like, in places like restaurants. Like, why would I buy that? I don't know, but it seems, for some reason, it seems fitting for this particular brand.
Yeah,
that sounds like that sounds like a personal request.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Very cool. Very cool.
I had a lot of fun doing it.
Good. Oh, I love this change. All of a sudden now you're this like romantic kind of really nice European vibe. This is cool.
And this is what Mitch was talking about yesterday, where you've got these hard turns almost in your book.
Contrast. Yeah.
Yeah.
Break up the fun
really
with a little more serious.
Oh yeah, this is great. Yeah, there you go.
So where is this? Was that a stock photo? Was that dimensions? How did you come up with this
mock-up? That was a stock photo.
Okay.
It was supposed to be just a mock-up for the wall to change the color, add a graphic, but I actually got another sort of texture that I put behind, and it's supposed to be like an LED component screen. And so I mocked that up onto the wall. So that wasn't originally there. I had to change a few things, change the color and stuff, but yeah, if you go back one more page, those are like the panels I came up with. Like it's kind of like a storyboard.
A digital walls are great, like in the lobbies that you see a lot of times. Yes. That's a great way to do it.
Yeah.
It was hard to find a good image to mock it up into. So
sure. Yep.
You did great.
Yeah. I think when you go to 2 more pages, go 1 more ahead, the richness of the photography here, how much more deeper the blue is, I'd say I'd love to see that in the digital wall.
Darker than
yeah, like when you go to the digital wall it almost feels faded. But you've captured a nice, in style guides now you almost have to tell what's the photography branding going to be like, what's the purpose of photography, how does it look and feel, what are we going to do to it to match the brand. And I love this vibe that just has such a richness to it. Really nice.
Just
really nice.
Your form seems not like a real web form, so just like go to a form and then take a screenshot and remake it.
Okay.
Because they don't usually have lines.
Wow.
Ooh, that's great.
This is fun.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, this was fun too. I got to manipulate a lot of photos, use like Liquify and Photoshop you never get to use. So
did you take these for it? Are these stock also?
The images, no. If you go back, there was like the image at the far left, the small one, was like the stock image that I found, and then I manipulated a lot of them, like cut them up and flipped them around and recolored them. So yeah,
nice.
Spent a lot of time on the images.
It shows very much. Yeah, really that's clean.
It's really fun. Your colors are great.
Thank you.
And I love the depth of the investigation is really good.
So I'm
really
sorry.
Good.
Those lighters. Oh
the depth of the investigation is what he said. He loves it.
Really good.
Yeah, you never see lighters anymore. That was.
I know.
Like, what do you get at a concert? That's not a T-shirt or the album.
I got carded last time I bought a lighter. I'm like, I don't even smoke. I just need a lighter. And they're like, we're going to have to see your ID. I'm like, I'm 45.
That's a beautiful. Oh, these are beautiful though.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's great.
And it's such a nice difference. Again, just like Mitch was saying, this is a good after that really bold Liquify thing.
Wait, go back to that navel oranges thing. What the hell? That is so cool. I like love that.
The 6-pack also, how it cuts.
And yes. So again, how are you getting or creating these mock-ups? Can you talk about these mock-ups?
I actually ended up getting an Envato subscription.
Okay.
And so I just went through everything and I was like, what do they have? What can I apply this brand to? And I found the oranges and I was like, I have to.
That's perfect. No harm because like if you picked one that everyone else was using on Envato, it's like it is a quick fix, but I like that you chose something that even I do packaging morning, noon, and night, and I've never seen that component. So it's really fresh. It's really cool. I would grab that in a second. I love it. Yeah, really cool.
I did a lot of digging deep. So
yeah, if you could tell me why you did it, you're on it.
I guess that's sort of one of my questions. Is you've got such focused design work, so intentional. That I'm sort of wondering, have you done work with regard to personas or user research? Because it's so intentional and so well thought out. I feel like you have. Have you?
I do. I do a lot of research for every project that I start, but a lot of them I do the sort of, I love the UX UI, starting out with that like information architecture, that kind of thing.
I kind of want to know that about you.
You want to see it?
And I don't get that explicitly in here. It's if you know it when you're looking for it, but I just sort of want to know that. And if you are doing that, what's that information or that process look like? Just a snippet.
Because it allows you to take a job that is not an entry level. It allows you to take a step up, because I know that you can handle it, and I don't have to teach you that already. So this, all your research is really, really important, and so well done.
Exponentially so.
And all that might take is one slide after your title slide that says who I'm making this for and why. That's, I mean, like we knew it. You had that. All you got to do is just give us that little note. But it's really something.
I could definitely do that.
So Heather, since we're out of time, do you have any final questions for the panel?
No, I just kind of wanted to know what you guys thought about the job climate and what's going to happen with your opinions.
Okay, I know that's something that we talked, that we heard from Michael Beirut last week. So Mitch or Nick, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Since
Gosh, we've heard a lot. Yeah, it's been a while. There's been some really good insight on that. I like the people that have taken the positive route to say, you're entering this job market at the most unique time in history. Take advantage of it for a lot of reasons that brands are going to need creativity more than ever to get out of this. And the more you can show that now in your entire entity, online, LinkedIn, portfolio, conversations, comments on LinkedIn, like Diane was talking about yesterday, you're more poised to be chosen when all of this is said and done. So being as prepared as you can to be able to change, able to pivot. I'm telling every person I know that has a junior level job right now, be the most standout employee you can, so you are not on the cutting room floor if something has to happen.
Heather, where do you want to go?
I'm up for anywhere, really.
Good for you.
This is great, Heather.
I want to go
so happy to
and
see this.
Everything.
Thank you, Heather.
Well, thank you. I think
really
you'll have a good shot. I really do, especially if you are up for anything. I want to know what you do.
I don't think you're going to have a huge problem.
Yeah.
I think you're going to be fine.
Just remember me when you're hiring me, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Good job,
Thank
Heather.
you guys.
Yep.
Good to see
Make sure you put your Instagram in the chat.
Yes, please do.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So we're a little bit behind now. We're at the halfway point, but I just want to go ahead. If you're just joining us, I want to go ahead and welcome.
Quick stretch.
If you want to stand up and stretch your legs, absolutely. If you're just joining us, welcome. I just want to go ahead and reintroduce our panel because they're amazing. I want to make sure that you know them. And one of them is a potato now. So first off, I'd like to introduce Diane Gibbs. She's the creator and host of Design Recharge and a professor of graphic design at the University of South Alabama. So welcome, Diane. Thanks for being here. Next, we have the owner of Longo Design, as well as the co-host of the Deeply Graphic podcast and a professor of graphic design at California State University, Northridge. We have Nick Longo. Nick.
What's up, everybody?
And Nick, at some point, can you put your link to the podcast or in the chat page? Thank you.
Do that right now.
And then next, a few seconds ago, she was a potato, apparently. But now she's usually an assistant professor of design at the University of South Carolina, as well as a design and illustrator who serves on the AIGA Design Educators Committee Steering Committee. Please welcome Mina the Potato Khalili. There we go. And finally, he's an associate professor at the Rochester Institute of Technology, as well as a writer, designer, visual artist, inspiration guru on Twitter and Instagram. Please give it up for Mitch Goldstein. There you go.
Thank you. Very nice.
And my name is Victor Davila. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Central Florida. So welcome. Thanks for being here for hour 2. So we're a little bit behind. So hopefully you can kind of stick around with us. All our Instagram and our socials are on the in our background. So please make sure if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out to us when you can. And I'm under the impression that a lot of you or several of you are also either working professionals or teachers who are on the chat. So if you can go ahead and introduce yourselves, and if you want to go ahead and put your socials there as well. So if anybody wants to get a hold of you after the fact, please do so. Because you guys are giving a lot of great feedback on the chat. So all right. Excellent. With that said, let's move on to the next half. Now coming to us again from Niagara College in beautiful Canada. I'm not sure which city in Canada that would be, but Elizabeth, you can let us know. So please welcome Elizabeth Mengia?
Yep, that was right.
Which one? Mengia?
Mengia, yeah.
Mengia, the first time I had it right. All right, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and it's about 2 hours from Toronto, so Niagara Falls, Ontario.
Yep, Niagara Falls, Ontario. Thank you. All right. So I love the fact that we have this global element to this.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Look at us. So international.
I think we had somebody apply from like either France or India. I couldn't quite pinpoint where she was from, but yeah. So, all right. So what do you want to do, Elizabeth, after your post-graduation life? What do you want to do?
Well, I don't know. I was really looking forward to going maybe towards book design or something kind of in that realm. But I mean,
did you say children's book design?
Either.
Okay. Cool. Ooh, nice.
Really like that Alaska poster.
Yeah, and the Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm.
Something cool there.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see some really strong like kind of design sense in cover design, in that idea of like putting everything on that cover and what does it look like. You had a few good things there. I'd say on the branding side, I would really pump up the subscription box one. Where was that? One more.
Let me know when to stop.
Oh, keep going.
Back the other way.
Yeah, either one. Yeah, keep going. Either you go. There you go. This one, yeah, the exposed. Again, like this is such a hot kind of brand project to do right now because it shows so many different applications of how you can do one color. It's like a limited color print, right? You do one color on corrugate and trying to get that. People got to buy this off of online. They're not getting it on shelves. So how you convince them to purchase this, it's all about having really great copy on the inside. People love to do the unboxing of these things and showing each panel has a message or something fun. So you can play as much as you want with this one and really give it a little bit more personality, particularly because I love the idea. It's a plastic-free bathroom kit. Like who you could sell me on that in 1 second, know?
So for me, there's a contrast problem. I can't read. So it's a value issue. So maybe you needed a white box with that instead of a craft box color, or you need to go darker with the word exposed.
Yeah.
I was going to say the same thing. Everything seems a little washed out.
Yep.
Just overall.
Yeah.
I want to piggyback a little bit as to what Nick was saying, because every time we think about user experience, we think about websites or mobile devices, but there's also the user experience that comes when we're doing print, whether it's the opening of a magazine, something that has a cool die cut, or like Nick was saying, the experience of opening and unboxing a package. So you want to make sure that you think about how the person, the viewer, or whoever is actually opening up that box and experiencing the inside, the outside, the texture of that actual box.
Yep. What year are you in? Did you tell us?
I just recently graduated.
Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. Yeah. Good. What's this one? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go for it, Diane.
So this one I would kill. I don't really think this one's like showing your best strengths, but can you just go back to the exposed? It's just the button on the, I'm just real. Like I've never seen a button that big. Like that you need to look at a reel and a login. Whoa, that's a big ass login, right? So just get a real thing, have a screenshot at 100% and then make your own. Otherwise your type looks fine. It's just, again, contrast. So if you're talking about ordering and you want to show that you've done research, accessibility requires us to have more contrast in our type. So when you're doing web stuff. So if you can even show that, then it'll be, again, that you have taken and you can tell that you've done the research and you are understanding accessibility for people who are low sight or whatever. I don't know, people.
That's a great point, Diane. And Diane, can you elaborate a little bit as to why this one would be killed?
So it feels sophomoric to me. It just feels like plop, 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 the same thing each time. It doesn't really feel like it's like the wildfire. It's just a red one and then an orange one. It looks like the same type all the way through. It doesn't look, and another giveaway, it says 2017. So I feel like you did this super early. It's a monoline. I would just say it doesn't look like a senior. So you have a lot of other stuff. Yeah. So this would be something I would kill. This doesn't. So look, women who have bigger breasts have 8 inches of space. Look, Nick's like, what? What are we talking about now?
Wait, I'm just writing this down because it's going to be another T-shirt.
So we have about 8 inches of space. So I hate it when people design things that wrap around, right? So they're designing it all the way to the edge. And I think you've done pretty okay, but this space, you just need to go smaller on your graphic. Again, it has to do with user experience. User experience is everything. When we walk into a coffee shop, that's user experience. When we go into a bathroom, that's user experience. Even when we're putting on a T-shirt. If I tuck it in and now I can't see the music festival, you know what I mean? Like,
right. Positioning, yeah.
Right, and user experience is really nothing without the testing. And I think that's where Diane's also going, is that once you wear it and you tuck it in, or you see how it hits across your chest, that sort of kills it. I have a few issues with the vectors. So yeah, I'd agree. This was an early project maybe for you, and you've gone farther. No shame in getting.
I would agree.
Yep. Yeah.
Great.
Can you explain this one?
So this was done for a poster, and we were supposed to kind of portray the beauty of aging and how kind of there's discrimination against aging in the workplace now.
Oh, wow.
So basically what I did was I designed, then hand painted the little nesting dolls to kind of represent that, and then it was photographed.
Beautiful.
I'd love some type with this to explain, aging in the workplace.
Yeah.
Are you age discriminating? Right.
It doesn't really read as a poster.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. It does. You're right. It reads as a photograph of some beautiful work that you've done. And it will. Yeah. It will be so much. Again, it's the function. What's the function of it? If it's a poster, show us that. Yeah. Give us a call to action. Tell us what to do about it. Just one sort of noodly thing here is the I don't know if you guys can see that here. That period needs to go after discrimination. Again, I'm getting a little Diane on it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the widow and the hyphen at the bottom, the last line there. I think you might have called that out. The last line looks a little heavy, or line weight. I think this could be a great the letting. Yeah, this could be a great museum article piece or something where this is the whole title of it, and you could build a few little assets to go along with it. Because when you explained that, I was like, oh my God, this is great. And the way the focus is off in the back and it's the youth, but the sharpness of the front, which is the age, there's something really beautiful about that.
And I think what we're all reacting to in some ways, the overall idea, the concept that you have here, but I agree it needs a little bit more to kind of explain it. So it's just not a photograph. So that's actually the marriage of photograph and text, which makes it the design part. I'm going to go ahead and add, Ruby said, having designed t-shirts, I recommend printing it out and laying it on an actual shirt so you could get a better understanding of the placement. What's your feedback based on Diane's comments?
Perfect. Great.
I have about an 8-inch space here, people, and I don't want it to wrap. I've measured with a ruler.
And we're here. I love it.
It's day 2, people. Day 2.
I'm a small girl, and so I just think, when I'm buying a t-shirt, I just think I hate when I have to. You guys have to just think about women's shirts and men's shirts, right? Gotcha. A lot of times we just design for unisex.
these, again, I think a lot of these first few, your apps here and your logo in the front, kind of the same conversations we were having. I think just dive a little deeper into this brand and the ethos of who they are. Tell us a little bit more about it. But like, Diane, you were talking specifically about like size and scale of buttons and things like that. Like just making sure they're matching really good quality examples out there that you can find anywhere, you know. The kids one has some fun because I think it was the next page here. Yeah. So like this looks like it could be a fun app for kids to kind of ask questions and do whatever. Really animate this, have some fun with it. Like think of that Baja Taco one we just saw. This could almost turn into a full campaign with fun characters that you've started here. So a lot of good potential.
And the backgrounds are to work off of Nick's point. The backgrounds are really just these sort of plain colors, and there's nothing wrong with that. But how can you activate that space? Is there some sort of texture pattern, something that can be happening, low hum in the background that sort of gets repeated and energizes us a bit more?
And I think even something as silly and meaningless as like which color iPad you're mocking this up on. On the white with the pale colors, I feel like a black iPad would actually pull it out a little bit.
Yeah.
The same with the phones in this previous slide. Yep.
Okay.
Here's one thing on this page.
We're about running out of time. So yeah, go ahead, Diane. We'll finish.
Can you go back to the appointments thing? Okay, look, so appointments look smaller than the other type. So then everything should be the size of appointments. And also it's like serif type on a phone or digital, it's not as easy to read. So just, you know, help. It looks like your other smaller type is sans serif, but also you have like there's some graphics like the red avoid, the green circle, and the triangle. I wish you could pull some of that out for me because it seems like you're thinking about things and I want to see the rest of it.
And drop shadows or no drop shadows? Drop shadows? No drop shadows.
Oh, on your art. Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
Which
that was
one?
actually a question. Yeah. Which one do you, I have my opinion on drop shadows, but what do you guys think on drop shadows?
I would say without. I think if you ever need them, it's like the slightest, tiniest bit of percentage that can help just make it look a little more realistic, but it's heavy on the ones you're using. I think when you look at others, bottom left, there's definitely a more cleaner vibe there without them.
Absolutely. And if you're going to use a drop shadow and you have to use that really subtle one, I wouldn't angle it. Just sort of let it rest perfectly on the pillow of your background.
Okay. All right. Any, we're running out of time, Elizabeth. So any questions for us or for the panel?
No, just thanks guys for everything.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Good luck. Let's give
you.
a
Good luck.
virtual round of applause. Next we have from Louisiana Tech University. Let me go ahead and close Elizabeth's sound. We have Cortland Carey.
Hey guys.
Hey,
how you doing, Cortland?
I'm good.
All right.
Welcome, man.
Ooh.
What year are you?
I'm a fourth year, but I actually have one more year till I graduate.
Amen. I did the same thing, buddy.
5.5 year plan.
All right. Mitch, let's start with you because
I love that first piece was phenomenal. That's so great. That's like, I'm in, like I buy it. I'm ready to see what you got.
How big is this piece, Cortland?
This poster was originally designed to be 24 by 30.
Good.
24 by 30. Okay.
Yes.
I love that.
Is it cut off at the bottom?
Not for me.
On my end, I see the date, the January 23rd, and then I see maybe, a little bit of space between that and the edge.
Oh, I see. I had to move my thing bigger. Sorry.
Yeah, the palette is excellent.
Okay.
So I don't think we've asked you, Cortland, but what's your plan post graduation?
I'm still exploring options. I'm the type of person who had like a shiny object syndrome, but I'm fairly open to...
Okay.
Cool.
So I would love to see more work. It seems a little thin. Yeah. And so just like even the last one, so maybe have other assets that go with it instead of just showing it in use. Either show it in use, you don't need both probably, like you've done in other ways. I just keep pushing.
Little careful things. I would just make sure your UPC codes are always on a lighter color, especially if it's being used. I see it used in design nowadays, which is kind of fun too. But if it's a usable UPC code, make sure it's like behind a white or a lighter color for something like that. Let's see.
Those tarots, I'd like to see more of this. Like you're teasing me.
And the other side too, right? I like this one a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's powerful. I think for me, overall, the way you've got this sort of text kind of attached to every piece sort of bugs me. I kind of want them separated, especially in the very first piece. It's sort of really like, it almost reads like this whole thing is the piece, when really it's just this poster is the piece.
Yeah.
So I would want to really kind of give yourself a way to give yourself some separation there.
And do you think it needs, I asked earlier how big this one was. Do you think it needs some sort of context as to give us size? Or the reason I was asking is because I was wondering how big that type was. So what's your stance on that? What are your feelings on that kind of thing?
No, I would probably go back and actually print this, get another print and show that, because that was something I was thinking about, was either doing the original size or bringing it down to 13 by 19.
And how about the panel?
No,
what do you guys think of that?
Go big.
Mina says go big. Okay.
Yeah, I think it would want to be big.
Okay.
Yeah, or at least mocked up big, if not actually printed big. Yeah.
You can these sizes. Like you can send it from your house and then pick it up later.
It's something I wanted to point out. If we can go to the last piece, Nick. This piece, nope, back. That piece. I think that the sort of trope of like holding the poster by the corners is sort of played out, but in this case, because of what the topic is, because of a person of color, this is an intensely good use, like really, really, really good use of this. And I think it deserves some applause. I think that's really, this is an incredibly important piece. Really good.
Yeah, and I don't know where you are, but it's either, and I don't know that it's you, but I mean, generally speaking, in this photo, I don't know where we are, but it's either a school or a residential area, and both of those are outrageously applicable here.
Yep.
Yeah, well done.
Okay, so one of the things I was going to ask the panel and Cortland as well is that you have these pieces that we start off with the portfolio straight away. There's no title card or anything. It's straight on here, and we go into the projects, and then we go to the next project and it has the tarot cards on the left. And then this one seems, I don't really know is it really okay to be gay? Is that the piece, or is that like a title for the piece?
This is it's part, is it okay is the title, but this is actually a motion graphics piece. The problem that I've been having is that if I put it in as a GIF, it doesn't always work. And then when I've embedded the video itself, it forces people to download Flash, and even then it doesn't always work. So I really want this to be in there.
What about some screenshots?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So,
showing the progression.
Yep, I agree.
I would 100% agree.
Because I thought this was a title page. I didn't pick out that this was an actual thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And all I kept thinking was, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So overall, these, again, we're running right to the end of time. Do you have any questions for the panel?
No, but I do want to say thank you guys. I appreciate it. So much.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh man, our pleasure.
And to summarize for Cortland, the feedback is maybe embellish on a little bit more to the project, similar like we've said something else. And what are a few final words for Cortland that you might have?
I'm gonna say if you can remove the color.
Just keep going, man. Keep going.
Yeah. And removing the color on the bars with the text, removing the color that just plain white, and then show your work.
Yep.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. And the Little Widows.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Courtney.
All right, thank you.
Don't forget to add your socials to the chat so we can follow you along.
All right, will do.
Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you. And coming up next from Liberty University. Oops.
In Virginia?
Yes, ma'am.
Woo! All right. I'm
all right.
Lynchburg, right?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. That's it.
We have
Don't call me ma'am, buddy. I'm just
Hey, that's a Southern thing, and you.
Hey, I grew up in the South. It's okay for me to say that, and I don't want to be called ma'am. It makes me feel super.
First name Diane.
All right, we have Brady Dando. How you doing, Brady?
Doing well. I feel like I'm in good company with all the beards and everything here.
Awesome.
Looks great so far.
Cool.
Brady, what year are you?
So I'm a senior. I actually had my portfolio review actually yesterday. So I'm getting to do a double take. So that's why I have like it all ready for this. So that was
cool.
very unfortunate. Getting used to doing them over Zoom and stuff. So that's really cool.
Awesome.
Good.
So where are you from originally? Are you from Lynchburg? 'Cause Lynchburg's pretty small.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I was born in outside Atlanta, Georgia, moved to Abingdon, Virginia, right outside of Bristol, Virginia, Tennessee when I was about 4. So I've been a Virginia native for most of my life. So.
Did you do that illustration on that van thing?
Yes, I did.
All right.
I grew up in Atlanta too, buddy. Well,
awesome.
you didn't.
It's a cool city. I've been there several times since then.
Yeah. So there's a lot on a page. I wish these were split up for me.
Okay.
I was going to say the same thing.
We had a limit of 10 spreads for our portfolio review, so I was kind of squishing them in there.
Gotcha. Bang for your buck.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
This looks like it's a book that was going to print out. So the one that you had yesterday was meant to be a printed book, Brady?
Yes, it was. Originally, we would have a printed portfolio, but then since all the COVID stuff, going online, so we just presented as spreads instead.
Okay.
Cool.
Mitch, let's start with you.
I think the work looks like you really know what you're doing. To me, it's a little too popular culture. And that's really just a personal opinion. That's not like a factual statement.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing really wrong with that. I just feel like the wrap on the truck, like that project is phenomenal. Phenomenal. And then I see stuff that are like sort of rip-offs of the Seinfeld logo, and I'm kind of like not interested in that.
Sure.
So again, it's just a personal opinion, like this stuff here. It's kind of like, okay, like I get it.
Right.
It's like whatever. To me, the other stuff shows a level of sophistication that is really impressive.
Awesome.
And then that other stuff kind of falls down for me. But that's,
sure,
just one guy's opinion.
Thank you.
I do. I love that pineapple moku truck as well.
Thank you.
And can you explain a little bit what this is? Because it doesn't seem like it has anything to do with this part over here.
Yes, so that was for an internship I did in Madison, Georgia for Source of Light Ministries. So those images were used for their online curriculum, illustrating different Bible stories. So that's kind of related to that. And then at the internship, I also worked on some print ads, which you see on the right, and a mailer as well that was sent out for their yearly publication.
What was the age range for the ministries that you were doing the illustrations for?
So these, it's kind of open to anyone, but it's from like the early teenage years to well into like your age. So it's a little bit of everything.
So this area right here, this text right here, this is what you've designed?
Yes, I redesigned that, but they had all that text already just to put into that.
Okay, cool. I'm seeing a couple little type crimes within here that I would suggest that you sort of revamp. We don't need an indentation for the first paragraph. Also, we actually have quite a bit of space on our, it almost looks like a tab. And we could probably have columns there as well. I don't know if anybody else wants to pick this up too. I want to keep browbeating it.
Anybody want to chime in with the layout of the text, the type?
I think you're right. With just some guidance and some structure in a column or two, I would think it will just help line up a few things to be a little bit more pleasing to the eye. Maybe a little bit more emphasis on the hierarchy of the headline, the subtext. The branding at the bottom is the first thing I go to, that strip. So like it's just some balance there, I think, for sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, switch around if you guys want. There we go. Cool. So the Mandalorian one, what was the idea there? Was this just to do some campaign to play off of the popularity of it?
So this was one I just started just for fun, basically, because I wanted to draw stuff from The Mandalorian.
Great.
And went with that and went into like putting some of that on Redbubble and stuff, so I could pull those products from that as well to kind of show them in different scenarios.
Cool. I think you got the artwork I love. I think seeing the applications and the pictures makes it more real to me than that thing that's taking up the far right side of your page here, where it's like against that like kind of the ship. So I mean, what a difference it makes. The same art looks so much better on the pillow than it does just floating, right? So like get those to be you get a nice lifestyle shot, almost like a lookbook of like, you know, if these were actual products trying to be sold to a manufacturer, to like a retailer, I want to see these bigger, you know, and that it's a fun idea. I think it's really cool. The illustrations look cool. I think sometimes some of them look really squatted and then some of them look very condensed. I'm not sure if that's just some exporting or something, but like, you know, just making sure like they feel a little more in unity.
Consistent. Yes, sir.
Victor, you're such a great illustrator. Like, and you, can you talk to him some about his illustration and like the line quality or?
Yeah. So I think you're showing a lot of good variety in illustration. It seems like whatever you end up wanting to do is going to have some sort of illustration slant to it. So within projects, you want to make sure that there is some sort of consistency in how you are developing your images. Like, it's fine if these two kind of match each other because they're part of the same campaign. So whatever style that you pick for it, you know, go with it across the board. Whereas over here, it's kind of like, sometimes it looks like some of these like are really, really thick. Sometimes it looks like it has a little bit more fine detail. So you want to make sure that there is some sort of overall consistency in how you treat that line work. And I think it was Nick who mentioned you're right, because here it looks like it's a little bit wider, and over here it looks like it's a little bit more squished in. But I'm also going to echo Mitch's statement about the pop culture before, because I also do have a little bit of an issue when I start seeing overly pop culture stuff. Not an issue per se, but I want to see more. And I think one of the issues that I have with a lot of social media is that when we start putting the things, it's like, all right, it happened with Baby Yoda. It's like everybody starts doing the Baby Yoda. So you see, like, I remember going to my feed and there must have been 25 Baby Yodas, like in the scope of a minute. And now we're seeing it with the Tiger dude. I haven't seen the show, but whatever dude is. Yeah, so we're seeing like I guess he has some sort of funky mullet kind of thing going on. And I went on Instagram and it was like a lot of that Tiger guy. So you want to make sure, thank you, Joe Exotic, I guess is his name. Thank you, Nard. So you want to make sure that there is some sort of uniqueness to what you're putting out there, because you don't want to just be like going with the fads and everything's like, I remember going into Dribble once and somebody had put a Darth Vader eating pizza or something like that. Suddenly there's like 15 Darth Vaders eating pizza for whatever reason. So you want to make sure that there's a message in what you're doing, and that there is like a scene that you're like telling that story that you're, especially with illustration.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I think
that
it's
was
like
more of a rant than anything else. Go ahead.
It's like meme adjacent. It's like in the language and grammar of a meme, which like any moron can make, and you're not any moron. You know, you're not a moron at all, right? So you're much higher end than that. And when the stuff starts getting meme adjacent, it's just kind of like, all right, you know, like whatever.
Yeah,
it could fall in that bucket.
Yeah. And to that point, how long can you keep that in your portfolio?
Yeah,
right.
Sure, that's true.
Can you go to the one that's blue and it has the those.
This one? Okay.
That one. To me, so I think you still need to work with your type, because it feels a little the headline feels a little big, at least on the big poster on the right. But I love these illustrations. And this is where it doesn't feel as, you know, to a Baby Yoda thing or
pop culture stuff, right?
Yeah,
this is original. This is your original campaign art from scratch. And it shines.
Yeah, just trust yourself. I think that's where it's like, it may get a lot of laughs with pop culture, but I want you to trust yourself, because the stuff that I think that you did, I think you just need to push into that and think about how a real company, I could see this and then they could do something for teens, right? This is totally doable. I understand that you understand that audience. So just keep pushing on those things and trust your gut on projects.
Awesome. Can I just add to my rant just a little bit? And I swear I won't rant too long. And this is coming from someone, I used to go to cons and go sell stuff at cons, but then I realized at the end of the day, these aren't my characters. So if I'm a character-driven illustrator, then I think I'd be better served trying to come up with my own stories and things like that. I think at some point you will be hired. You could be hired to work for Lucas or work for whatever company it is doing that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, you know, it's maybe try to develop something of your own as opposed to. And the thing with the Baby Yoda, I haven't seen that show either, but it's always like the same pose of Baby Yoda that I see. Yeah. So you want to make sure that it's a little bit more unique.
You know,
a little bit of a raw nerve, but yeah.
Ekaterina Oloy does a great job of that, Vic. I think you know she's worked for Disney, she's worked for a lot of the big names, right? But she also very clearly has characters that are her own style, her own messaging, and she's a good person to look at for that. Again, that's Ekaterina Oloy.
Yeah. Okay. And then one thing I would add to this one, getting out of the my illustration rant, is that your typography here, your lettering there, and even the way your banners are flowing is different than it is here, and it's different than it is here. Here is like a lettering, you know, kind of handwriting.
Yeah.
There seems a little bit thicker, bolder than there. So
I like the first one. The first one's fun, where you got the flow of it, and then do it by hand rather than finding a font that fits like the other two. But there's a funness of the fact that it goes behind her, and maybe that can, you know, what's great is that can continue on the next one, and then your third one, it continues there as well. Sure. So they work well independently, but even better, they work as a series.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Did you take those photos?
I did.
Good job.
Good for you, man.
And Brady,
this one has some. That one has some potential. Yeah, it really does. That and then obviously the restaurant for sure. I think that could be a real fun one that you can expand on. And this one, the Mando Ammo.
Yes.
Mando Ammo. Oh, okay. So was this based on Mandalorian as well?
Yes, we had to do it was a character project, so I picked Boba Fett for mine. Okay. I did a lot of Star Wars senior year just for fun, but
well, don't forget, you could turn this into with the points that most people were talking about, specifically Victor on the pop culture stuff. Change this into an actual real ammo brand that is completely 100% fresh, not relying on another property or franchise. And because that's gonna, you know, if you get a job in your first 2 years, that you're gonna be doing a lot of that, and it won't be your own work. You'll be licensed stuff, and I had that for many, many years of my career, and then I had nothing of my own work to show, even though it was Star Wars and it was cool shit. But here, sorry for that. That was the first drop of the bad word.
Yeah, the band.
I'm out of here. But you know what I mean? Refresh this, make it your own, because you've captured rustic, you know, distressed and colors here really well.
Thank you.
Any final questions for us, Brady, since we're kind of a little bit over now?
Yeah, so I have kind of two questions. Sure. I just started following Mina kind of in your career, listened to your Quickie podcast, and plan on listening to Nick and your podcast. But kind of that idea of like, I might be pursuing my master's. I applied for GSA position at Liberty, and kind of, so where would you suggest maybe for going that? Maybe even if I pursue, my plan's graphic design, but maybe actually pursue illustration instead. And then what would be one project for my portfolio that would really kind of sell me as an artist?
That's a big question. We talked a little bit about MFAs yesterday, so you guys want to reiterate a little bit what you said about that?
Go ahead.
You go, Mitch.
Okay, I would just say that going directly from undergrad to grad school is a mistake. I think you really need to be in the world and work for, I would say, like 2 to 5 years. Okay. Preferably 3 or 4 would be good. Because graduate school, if it's a good grad program, is absolutely nothing like undergrad. It's a completely different conversation. It is generally very self-directed. It's not just advanced undergrad. So I think you really need to get out there and kind of have a relationship with your practice and understand what it is you're really doing, and then go to grad school.
It should be a reprieve from that work in commercial design or whatever it is that you're doing. Grad school, as Mitch is saying, is so self-directed. If having children is the most selfless thing that we do, then going to graduate school is the most selfish thing.
It's a gift to yourself.
It is a gift. Yeah.
And what was the second part of the question? What's the big project that?
Yeah, like what would be one project you'd like to see that's not in there that could really add value to me as an artist, I guess.
Expand that pineapple truck. Expand that restaurant, man.
Do you like branding? Would you like?
It's something I haven't focused on really, but I do enjoy it. I kind of I'm settling more on illustration, so I'm okay kind of matching that in branding, I guess.
It's a great combo.
What is it about illustration that you are enjoying though? Because I'm seeing you're marrying a lot of your illustration work with your design work and your
I think I'm kind of struggling with that because I went to school for graphic design, kind of realized I'm actually probably an illustrator would be kind of what I'd want to do. So now I'm all right, am I trying to get an illustration job? Am I trying to get graphic design where I could do branding and illustration? So I'm kind of in the middle there.
There are just less illustration only positions. So it will help you to have design and being able to be a designer that also illustrates. I think Mina could say that. Vic could say that as well. This is only going to help you is having the illustration, but I think your illustrations, they need a little bit more depth and work so that it gets to a real professional level. So I think it's there on the pineapple thing.
Ashley said in the chat, going to graduate school for a different skill or a different path is totally worth it and will add to your skill set. And I think that is absolutely true.
She went to grad school for print. She was a graphic design major, and then she went to grad school at UF for printmaking. And now she's a colleague. She's amazing. So
awesome.
One thing I would add about illustration, and by the way, I totally get the whole pop culture thing. I probably have too many pictures of Superman in my own feed. I get it. I would say that if you're going to go to the pop culture, at least go for the more kind of vaguer characters as opposed to the one that everybody else is doing, if you like that kind of stuff. But I would also say that if you're going to go for an illustration, then I would expand it past just the character. So it's a scene. What's the story that you're saying? Look at the stuff that one of my favorite things every month to do is watch what the covers of the New Yorker are doing, because how they can create a story just on that one panel with Chris Ware or whoever it is, Peter Deceive, and get past just the character. So it's the scene that you're doing. Because otherwise, then you're just kind of doing the characters, and that's not really embellishing the story that you're trying to do.
Sure.
Well, thank you, Brady. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Brady.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Good job, man.
Thank you.
All right.
You really spiked a lot of good conversation, which is always good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
I told myself I wasn't going to go on a rant this time, and I almost.
I appreciate it.
The chosen one.
All right. Next, we have Bailey Shelton. Bailey's coming to us from Ball State University in Indiana, right? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What city in Indiana are you coming from, Bailey?
So I'm from Central Indiana, Indianapolis more specifically.
Okay.
But my family's in Muncie, which is where Ball State is. So.
Awesome. I was just in Indianapolis in November, actually. It's a good.
What for?
I ran the marathon. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
It was a cool time. Good time. All right.
Sweet. Digital marketing. Awesome. Okay, cool.
All right. Do we need a space there?
Oh. Good one.
So we're all fired up now.
Yeah, we're at the end of this thing. We're getting all,
You guys are good at spotting that. I so look to the work. I'm never looking at the headline.
I think
but that's
the
smart.
First thing that jumps out to me is this sort of body type and this type. It's really distracting.
Mm-hmm.
I find it really big. I would use the word horsey, like a horse, because when a horse is in a room with you, the horse is in the room with you. You know what I mean? So to me, it feels really, really large, really kind of clunky. It's very distracting from work.
Okay.
Just across
that's
the whole
the journalism in me. I have a journalism degree, so that's probably what it is.
I like these captions are really kind of awkward. They're really big.
And this one said at a different typeface. And one of you, I can't remember who, apologies, said yesterday that you made the comment about the typeface that one of the students was using was a little bit basic, I think, and you were encouraging the student.
Yeah, that might have been me. It was just kind of helpful.
Yeah.
It's
like, don't go with the default. Go with one that has just enough personality that you can call your own and it can be your brand type, which is always good. Yeah. It looks like, I would say go to the first one, Vic. or whatever so that first one here feels a little corporate. Next page, I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah, they're set up as spreads.
Yeah, there you go. Like it feels very, very corporate. It feels very the gray, like I don't know what it is about it. Just kind of starts the I always kind of wonder, like my first impression's telling me what the brand's gonna feel like, what its vibe's gonna be like. And this being digital marketing prep or whatever the brand is for this, give it a little more energy, a little bit more vitality, you know? It feels a little like kind of like not alive, you know? And this is where you can really say like, well, what is the brand's typography that they will use as strong as someone like Chobani gets to use? They've picked fonts that really tell me about their brand, nostalgic, vintage. So if yours is modern and fresh, give me that in the typography as well. You know what I mean?
So, I do have a question about that.
Yeah.
So that first work is, are you talking more about in the scope of the portfolio, like starting with something that indicates a little bit more fresh and like put your corporate work later? Or are you talking about like within the design itself, it could be a little bit more live?
Within the design itself, 100%.
Okay. So that's for my university. Our only two fonts are Open Sans and Helvetica Canoe.
Right.
If then rebrand it yourself or take it out.
Okay.
I hate to say it. Don't let that be an excuse. You're showing us your work, and I appreciate I've been there before. I have tons of work I don't show because there's no reason for it. It's not it paid my bills, but it's not gonna get me my next project.
Okay.
I think
so don't worry about that.
I have less of a problem with the typefaces and more, I'm having some hierarchical issues with the typography. I see things, my eyes are being drawn to particular areas, and then I'm not sure why they are so large, especially given the hero image size versus
it's so light.
Some of the H1s. Yeah. So I would just assess the hierarchy and the typography, your headers, your body.
Bailey, have you told us what you want to do post-graduation?
I haven't. So it's kind of up in the air right now. I'll probably stay in Indy for about a year. And I'm looking at more multimedia work because I do have a journalism background and I've worked with design for a while. And so probably something in the multimedia space, just because there was this really good quote from one of the panels the other day that said like we narrow ourselves often, and a lot of times that jack of all trades has a purpose as well. Being a generalist is probably my strongest suit. So looking for a job where I can be a generalist, if that makes sense.
There's no problem with that. I like those illustrations you had on that last page. Were those yours too? These are great. Like, I mean,
those are beautiful.
I love it with the little sachet around the strap and everything. Like, it tells me this person's ready for adventure. Like, again, show me what else you can do with this one to really vamp this up to something really fun. It could be how this book release, maybe there's a book release kind of event and you can show these characters there and stuff. There's so much you can do.
We got to have a little chat about this tan dude I keep seeing on every page. I find that really distracting. It makes it look sort of like a PowerPoint. That is not what you want to be pursuing.
Oh,
the background
that entirely.
The parchment paper or whatever it is.
Paper tangle.
And can I just say something about where you're, and I've seen this a lot. This is for everybody, not just for you, Bailey, but it says, I designed the 2018-2019 edition. You put it in here. Yep. I sure hope you did. Right. So I would just say the 2018-2019 edition of the Odyssey, the purpose was something more interactive. And then you're just taking the I out of it. So you're kind of writing in the third person, but you know, when we're writing for our website, I just feel like it feels very like high school. Like, I made this, I created, I designed, I thought, I think, I wanted. And so if you just take it makes so much more of a statement. Like, this was done because, and that's like, wow, you're proving it to the court, right? Instead of, I did it, I think I chose, right?
And when you're talking about your work as well, remove the I's and talk about talk about your work from the work perspective. This work needed X. You know.
Okay.
And there are a lot of great people. If you want to go a little bit farther south, there are a lot of great people to work for in Louisville.
Actually, yeah, I have friends and family in Louisville.
Yeah, it's a good place.
Yeah, it's a heck of a
city. I miss it.
Okay. I know we said it to a couple of past students, but should we also talk a little bit about kind of like the size of these particular pages as far as like the images? Have we already spoken? It's kind of like all mixing into my head, so I don't know if we've already kind of talked to Bailey. But do we talk about like making things bigger, or because the amount of pages seems a little bit short, similar to some of the other ones that we've seen?
Yeah, I think the text is really large for the most part. The body copy text is really large for the most part that's taking us through this book. And the imagery should definitely be larger. Remove that parchment, as Mitch pointed out. Really be more concise with your text, the text that you're using. Your sort of like your citation text should be maybe smaller than your body copy text too, or the same size.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see you wrote spell out.
And I just realized in progress it doesn't need a space. It's the actual name of something, right?
Yeah, it's the organization name.
Gotcha.
Got it.
Okay. Oh, that's weird. All right.
Okay. Oh, it stayed on there. Interesting.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of kind of like taking these campaigns and spreading them out. It's a PDF, so you don't have to pay extra for pages. And you want to make sure that your elements are big enough so that we can see the images. For instance, this little guy is pretty cool. So maybe allow some more room, some more real estate for what you're trying to show with that character.
Can I suggest too maybe a different color for the hair, just so it defines it a little bit more? Because I love everything. Maybe it's the color of the vest, that lighter brown or something. But gosh, that has such cool potential there, for sure.
Yeah.
And like we were saying to its size, it's okay to build something a little bit bigger by 16 by 9, spread these things out, be very consistent with your headline, your subtext, and whatever description you're having, and give us that story and break these up into 1 or 2 pages. And I think you'll be onto something really cool.
Yeah. Awesome. Any final questions for the panel, Bailey?
Yeah, I feel like I have a million questions. I guess, okay, so the primary one that's been weighing on my mind a lot is, we hear a lot about personal brand these days and like how to brand yourself, how to market yourself, putting forward that like forward face. How often do you guys feel like you think about your work and the brand that you put forward as like entities? Like, do you just like post what you're proud of, or do you feel like you have a content strategy that you put out into the world?
I would say there's definitely a strategy, and it shifts based on what's happening. Like right now, my message has changed a little bit more in how I can be of service, how I can be a problem solver to people. So I'm pushing that part more too. But I think we all curate to what we want to do. I think one of the best lessons we've been hearing that all of us has said is put out, be proud of the work you want to attract 100%. There will be hidden stuff. There's a ton of stuff. I just did a 40-page thing for a company. I'm not going to show anybody, but it's not what I want. I hate doing things that are I don't like publication stuff in any way. I love brand. I love experience. I love the environment. I love packaging. And that's the stuff I'm going to put out there. But you can tweak those things that are the voice of who you are. Particularly, like we had a great conversation yesterday on like, what are you saying on LinkedIn right now to be much more in the forefront of this stuff? So when we're done and we're out of COVID stuff, we are more poised. So it changes, right? What do you guys think? You never have it down.
No, I think you said it exactly right.
Yeah. I also think it's also important that you, I think you should try to be positive or see the positive in the situation. This will be a way for you to stand out as somebody who's graduating, or you wanted to you know, because you want to be a generalist, then claim it. Like, that's totally fine.
Totally.
You just you don't have enough experience to say you know what you like the best yet. So it's fine. It's totally fine. And I think just what you're putting out there and reaching out to people, it's really important to connect with people because they know other people, and just start conversations with people in Indy, with people in Louisville.
Yeah, I would say the better you know yourself as a designer and a people, the more clear you are going to be on those channels. The more clear your intent is going to be to the people who are watching and receiving your messages. You know, my messaging changed very slightly, I guess, when I became a mom, and I was, you know, still trying to work and be a designer and an artist and also be a parent. And it's really weird. And that's new for me. Other people have been doing it for a long time, and I'm just getting to know that part of me now. So I'm not even very good at talking about it yet, but I think that, you know, in terms of when we're coming out of school, like it's already been said, it's so hard to know what it is that you are doing right now, that what you could do is take that time to explore and really dig into who it is you want to be as a designer or artist, and then start pushing those messages out there.
Yeah, I usually tell people now, I say, I have no idea what I want to do when I grow up. And I think that's very accurate. So,
but you just know that people will look at your social, right? They're going to look you up and see what if you're complaining a lot, then that would be a way I don't need anybody who's complaining right now. I need somebody who's going to be able to be positive.
But we know authenticity. People know authenticity when they see it, and they know
not fake.
Yeah. Conversely, they know fake too.
Right.
So
most of the reason I say this is, so it's like, I'm a writer, I have writing pieces, I'm a designer, I have designing pieces. But if you go to my Instagram, it's just freelance photography right now, which is not what I want to be hired for.
Okay. Then you got to fix that.
Yeah, exactly.
New channel.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Bailey. We appreciate it.
Bailey, good luck.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
All right. Next up, we're going to go back to Florida, and we're going to go to Florida State University in Tallahassee. We're going to welcome Jillian Kamerer. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
Awesome.
Nice. Good job, Vic.
Thank you for practicing.
Vic with his words.
How you doing, Jillian?
I'm doing good, thank you.
How's Tallahassee this time of year?
Well, I'm actually down in South Florida right now at home, but Tallahassee is doing good so far.
All right, good. All right, so what's your major, Jillian?
I'm actually an ICT major, so I'm IT and communications, but I've taken a multitude of studio classes throughout my time there.
Somebody told me that FSU does not have a graphic design program. Is that true?
Not at the moment, no, but when I was a freshman, I was lucky to take one graphic design class, so from there I built on that.
Do you want to get a job in design, or what's the goal?
My goal is I've been interning as a graphic designer for different studios in town. So I would like to focus on logos, poster design, possibly UX. I'm really open to different options right now.
Cool.
Yeah, I think Mina nailed it. The proportions are not helping you right now of the page.
She nailed it this is from the chat. Sarah had asked, what's the best particular size for the portfolio? We spoke yesterday about digital. It should be like 1920 by 1080, which is a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. This looks like it was created for print, right?
Yeah.
Jillian?
Yeah.
All right. So let's start with, let's go back to Diane. Let's start with Diane. What do you think?
Right as I'm coughing.
I was waiting for you.
So for me, I think you need to work on your typography, and it makes sense. I totally get it, but it's kind of the same thing we were talking about yesterday. We need to create something where people could come in. Just looking at any of these pages, you have two headlines. You have something that's digital illustrations, then you also have passion pieces. There's a lot of ways to get really good at type, but you have to start investigating. And I think it's like a crime scene investigator, right? You have to dig in and figure out. So you take a real magazine that you like, that is is a really nice magazine. It's been around, or it hasn't been around, but it's really doing good work. And you start emulating. So you look at, if the top left, that's something that tells me where I am, right? So we call that a folio sometimes. If it's anyway, it could be called something else as well, but it doesn't need to be the same size as passion pieces, right? And then it's also really difficult for us. It's not super difficult, but it is more difficult for us to right aligned than it is to be left aligned. So are you trying to be a disruptor? So Apple is a disruptor in the industry. So disruptors aren't always bad, right? But is that what you're trying to do, or are you just trying to make everything line up?
Basically just making everything line up.
Yep.
Yeah, I think what I was indicating with my drawing is all this sort of type that is flush right. I think what I would say overall is everything I'm seeing is very getting sort of distracted by the box it's in. Mm-hmm. So like the way you've laid out the portfolio itself with this kind of gradient, all these kind of flush right typography blocks, it's super distracting. It's very much not helping me look at the work in a way that is like really kind of bugging me. So I would just kill all that, make it super simple, and let the work be the work.
Yeah, it's got to be the hero. Like, that one you have with the little robot on the sweatshirt, like that looks so cool. I'd love to see that. Like if you go to 16:9, get that nicely cropped on the left, super big, show that off, then show me that character. Show me, did you take him and did you put him on a backpack? Did you put him on, a school kit, something, a lunchbox, whatever's applicable to that brand, put it on a ton of applications and have fun with it, because we could barely see it on that page that it's there on the sweatshirt,
Yeah.
And the t-shirts you have as well. I thought those were kind of neat too. Where was that first page? There's your little robot guy. Yep. This guy, the social spirit. So like, again, this could be presented so much cleaner and bigger as a big hero. Add in a few little additional application shots, but then like tell us about it a little bit more, because the logo, I like the logo part. It's really fun. It's got something fun there. And then the way you did it with the blue shirt looks fun, where you separated the eyes from the smile again. Like all of a sudden that becomes so engaging. And I'm like, she's telling me something there. Mm-hmm. Let it shine. Yeah. Let it shine.
I agree too.
Mm-hmm. Good colors, right? Like this guy, I got to see that guy nice and big. Yep. That could have a lot of fun.
Yeah. So similar to some of the ones we've already seen, Jillian, it's just a matter of kind of like expanding on things, letting us see the good, so to speak, as opposed to just having everything so small in your page. Because right now the portfolio is maybe like what, 5 pages. So you want to make sure, again, the digital page doesn't really cost anything. So just add pages there that would allow us to kind of see some of the details.
Okay. How many pieces do you think that I should add total just to have a full like breadth of work?
How long have you been with us today?
Watching the video, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably for about like 45 minutes.
45 minutes. Right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mina.
I was saying whatever work you want to be doing, add more of that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There's no right answer to that question.
There is none. Yeah. Because you can have 3 slam dunks that are expanded out, and we will drool.
Right. But what I would say,
Diane, we can't see it. Turn off your virtual.
I know. I am.
I know what you're doing.
What I would say is do not, if you have like 10 great pieces, don't put in 10 more garbage pieces just to make it bigger. Mm-hmm. Only put in the best stuff, and whatever it is what it is.
Yeah.
So my friend Ben wrote this book, and it's whatever. I'm not going to say it. It was the word that Nick said earlier. I'm graduating, A Student's Guide to Creating a Killer Portfolio. And it really takes you through the whole thing. And his name's Ben Hannum. It's on Amazon. But it does kind of take you through, and it's all kinds. Talks about digital, in person. This is kind of this is a great resource. I make my students get this book. So
great recommendation.
Yeah.
And Jillian, the reason I ask how long you've been watching the videos, because in the past hour and a half or whatever, we've seen a lot of different portfolios that some are like have a lot of works and some have like really short works. Some of the short ones work really well, but some of the other ones not as well, and vice versa. So there's no clear answer, like it was said.
Exactly.
Okay. Awesome. Any final questions for us?
I think I asked everything I needed. Thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you so much, Jillian. Good luck.
Thanks for coming.
Stay safe. All right. And next, we're going to stay in Florida. We're going to be talking to one of my juniors, as a matter of fact. His name's Jordan Stewart.
All right.
Jordan, you there? There you are.
There he is.
Jordan,
Dude.
what are we doing today?
Looking at some portfolios.
There we go. All right.
Dude, you had me at espresso over ice.
Thank you. Yes.
Exactly.
That sounds so good right now.
I know.
All right, here we go.
Meeting.
Ooh, that's so nice.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're in my
Okay,
wheelhouse.
there we are.
All right, you
There it
got
is.
a cutting board, first cutting board to make the portfolio cut. I'm happy.
Love
That's
it.
great, dude. Wow, that's such a like you could show an untrained eye that book and they'd love it, but when a non-designer sees this, they're like, oh, that's how like it's done. That's the secret sauce.
That's why when I tell you you could just whip this up, that you can't.
That's why when I charge you 10 grand for it,
Yeah.
it's worth it. Beautiful, really cool, man.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Ooh, that's nice too.
Thank you.
First of all, your layout too. Like I just love that. This feels like I'm on a beautiful website, and I'm just getting the images nicely kind of coming at me. Keep going.
This is so fun. They're little.
You're a junior?
Yes.
Okay, good. You're a dangerous person. This is good.
Thank you.
Jordan, I'm not sure if I ever asked you, but what do you want to do post-graduation?
I'm really honestly down for so many experiences within design. I think they're all so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think Orlando has a lot of really interesting agencies that do really cool narratives, but I'm very open to a lot of experiences. So
great.
Jordan, did you photograph this? Is
Yeah, I
this a
was just gonna
photograph?
ask.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Wow.
That's right. That's what's up. All right, we're
Cool.
good.
Nice.
That's great.
Now it should be toilet paper, right?
This is a little bit odd now.
Jordan, I would take this one out just because this isn't something you want to go into.
Okay.
All your typographical, all your pure graphic design is really strong, and I know for a fact that you're not really looking to be a comic book artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, get it out of there. It felt weird anyway to somebody who doesn't.
What was that? The
Coasters?
Those endless Florida funky, are those posters?
Coasters.
Coasters.
Yeah.
I was like, posters? Okay.
Ruby says.
Oh, and there's the box. There's the box.
I
Okay,
see.
cool.
I see.
Yeah. I think this could use a little bit more. Either you want to keep it in here, and you flesh it out a little bit more, or you remove it.
Okay.
There's some really fun things happening here, but I'm still left questioning.
Yeah,
much like
it needs
Diane.
more like clarification. So
For sure.
So this is a
cool.
rebrand?
Good. Love seeing the before and after. Oh, the bags look great. The bags look really nice.
Boy, the type on that letterhead's wicked big, buddy.
Okay.
Is this a coffee place for 80-year-olds? Right? So just go normal so we know that you know. Everything else is good. Right, but that's what it's saying to me.
Yeah.
After you go to the library in the big print area, you go back.
Yeah.
Right? Just you don't have to fill the page. It can just be a couple paragraphs.
Lighter.
Right.
Carly says the colors choice. Carly, I'd love to know if you can elaborate on the colors choice in chat about this particular project, I think.
Yeah.
I think she's saying that color is choice.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry.
You know, like how Ferris
like it's lit. I would say too, I don't know if you have it in the next page or not, but maybe a menu would be better than the letter.
Okay.
Do a menu there. You know, I love the business card. Maybe don't need the envelope, but I always say like the applications should be super appropriate to your brand.
Okay.
Bags are obviously great. Maybe you bring those coffee coasters into this somehow, and you know what I mean. And you can. There's a way of maybe bridging those together and doing something that relates to the brand of Palette, which would be really fun. But I think this is great. You can expand this even more with the coffee cup, the environmental stuff within the shop. You know, really, really cool. I like it a lot.
Thank you.
And Carly elaborates, for me, the color speaks to coffee. It's warm and inviting and feels like a place I want to sit down and have a cup of coffee.
Agreed.
And Jordan, I do think this is a color improvement from the last time we saw it as well. So this is the kind of thing, this isn't what he turned in. We talked about colors and then he changed it for his portfolio. So I think that I think that stuff is key to be a little bit stronger portfolio. You shouldn't just take the feedback that we give you in class and then just call it a day. If it's going to be your portfolio, elaborate on that and then get other people's opinion.
One thing, Jordan, you've done really well with type. You tend to work with it really well. You have good hierarchy. When I see the same typeface used or the same, you have a extended extra black used a lot. Okay. So just show me that you can use some other weights or widths in other, do you know what I mean? So that it's not like, oh, you need it extra wide, no problem, I got the guy for you, right? so
Jordan's your guy.
But you do a really good job. I just now want to see how you do this again. But
some variety in it.
Yeah. So but you've done a great job. And do a real signature, don't do Jordan Stewart, and don't put your name on a letterhead or anything else.
Okay.
Use
good idea.
Somebody else.
I'll put Diane.
Okay. But like make it like a business letter. So like that a business letter has an address of who it's going to. Like it takes that extra, like Heather Sturgeon earlier, research what a real business letter is. And it just shows that you fit in. You come in and you're a professional, right?
And when you're using the mock-ups and you're trying to decide what you want to apply your designs for this brand to, consider what would be used in that environment. My father owned a restaurant for 30 plus years. I know he had letterhead, but as a barbecue guy, I'm pretty sure he hardly ever used it unless he was invoicing somebody who was late on their payment.
Sure.
So maybe, like has been noted in the chat, as Sarah mentioned, a to-go cup, aprons, other types of things that would be used in this environment, applying it to that as opposed to what stationary and what we think we're supposed to do. What could you do?
Absolutely. You know what's great too is you can find you can do menu boards, the ones that hang from the ceiling inside the environment. That's a great challenge to show scale, because a lot of times it might have to be a little bit bigger than typically would be in some printed menu because of the distance or something. So showing those different forms would be really, really fun. This page got a few good comments on just its layout, and I think it's important to show. A lot of times what we were asking other students were how you gang things up. And your approach to negative space. This is really clean, right? There's a full bleed in the glass one. There's a beautiful one with a opposing color in the background, and then this nice gray. So there's just something very comfortable with this. I want to look at it.
Awesome. I also want to mention what Carly Sarno says. Also compare this to other coffee brands. Where is this shop going to be? How's the packaging going to stand out on shelves against competitors? Explore deeper and have fun with it.
Yeah.
So,
and you're right, that orange is a nice, I don't think any other coffee brand really owns this color in the marketplace so much. So to show that you chose this orange for a reason, it'll stand out from Starbucks, it'll stand out from Caribou, good choice.
Thank you.
Awesome. Jordan, any final questions for the panel?
I was just curious, students are super hungry for work when they graduate. So I was just wondering what tips or recommendations you have to being authentic to the work you want to do and just authentic to yourself once you kind of enter a competitive environment.
Mitch, can we hear from?
That's a good question, right? I think you can't lie. Like you can't say, oh, I'm super good at, web stuff when you don't care about it, And I know right now everybody's panicking, maybe more than a normal senior would be panicking, I would imagine. And I totally get that. And I tell my students from day one of college, like, you've got to be you. You can't lie about who you are. And if you do, it's going to bite you in the ass, because if you lie about it and then you get a job based on that lie, you're really screwed.
Yeah.
Right? So I think, and I think Diane said it great in the chat, just you're allowed to not know. You're allowed to say, I don't know how to do that, or I don't know what that is. Like, it's fine. You know, you're a human being. You are not a PDF of work. You got to remember that.
Yeah. So if you're able to show your process, your thinking, like you did in the very beginning of this portfolio, what you're actually showing is not just the work that you're doing. You're showing your thought process. You're showing how resilient you are. You're showing how capable you are. You're showing how trustworthy you are. These are soft skills, not soft skills, but these are qualities that people want to know that you have when they hire you. The soft skills are going to be how are you relatable in terms of your relationships, when you are speaking to, when you are at a meeting, when you're writing an email, how dependable are you when you're behind the desk and you're typing something out to a client, that type of stuff. I think that you show a lot of those qualities here that I would want to see, and you do it at the forefront, and then it sort of trails off in the portfolio. So I would want you to bring it back to what we're seeing in the first couple of projects.
Okay.
Yep, I agree.
Good. Ruby says, definitely reach out to your mentors, put yourself out there. I learned the hard way. I went into entertainment after graduating and said yes because I had the offer result. I was unhappy for a year. I'm big on mentorship, and Michael Beirut on one of his talks says, find a mentor, even if that person doesn't realize that they're your mentor.
Yes.
I'm a big believer in that.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just call them and ask them questions. If somebody says like, hey, would you be my mentor? Then they might be like, oh, I don't know if I have time. I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. But if it's just something like, hey, can you answer this question? They probably will. So I have a ton of mentors that they don't know that they're my mentors. And a few of them are in this panel, Jordan. All right. So thank you, Jordan. I appreciate it. Good job. Way to represent.
Yeah, so much. I appreciate it.
Great job.
All right. I'm all proud of my students. They're awesome.
You should be.
You should be.
You really should.
Thank you. Last but not least, Amy Williams from Oregon State University.
All right. Bring it on, Amy.
There we go. We're going to go West Coast.
Great.
Where's Oregon State?
Ooh.
I love this already.
Oregon State. I know the answer to that one. Hold on a second. I know the answer to that question because I wrote it down.
In Oregon.
Hey, Amy, can we hear you?
I'm not going to go.
Yeah. I'm here.
Corvallis,
okay.
Is that right? Corvallis?
Are they beavers or ducks?
Beavers.
All right. Be the beaver.
Yeah.
You make it sound like in Oregon it's only one or the other. So like
it's one or the other. Yep.
It is.
Yeah. So sorry beforehand. This is intended for print.
Okay.
So.
Can I stop you right there before we start?
Sure.
Before we start, I'm a big believer in not apologizing for your portfolio at all until you have to answer questions. So please, this goes to everybody, and I'm sorry to kind of call you out like right when we start, but don't apologize for anything yet, and just answer the questions that we have, because otherwise we're going to be like, oh, what's wrong with the portfolio? You know. So I understand that you mean by the size, but just like a heads up.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. All right.
Colors look awesome.
This is great. I love this one. That's hilarious.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that, Mina?
Really nice.
On this one? So this, are you asking Mina? Sorry.
Mina, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. These mock-ups are great. And your use of mock-ups, similar to what I was saying previously, like what is it that we need to use when we are looking at this brand? Yeah. If we are working with this brand, what is it that we're using? And you applied the mock-ups appropriately. I was laughing at the very first slide, actually, if you go back. I love how brazen, bold, and confident you must be to put something that does this on the very first slide that we are seeing. I have such respect for that.
I agree.
And the IUDs, everything that we're seeing in all of the images. And I assume you did all these illustrations.
Yep.
Okay, girl.
Great.
That's what I'm talking about.
And was it your position to come up with the idea and the whole purpose behind the subscription box?
So this was a collaborative project. I
Okay.
worked on a couple other items, but I did create all work together on the notes.
Gotcha. Yeah, again, throwing this in the better arena of a 16:9 is going to give us much bigger scale, like showing that big box nice and big. We get to see all the freshness of those colors. It's going to look great.
Yeah.
Really well done. See, this goes to show that's not logo slapping.
Yep. Yeah. Looks really good.
I do wonder if the dental dam icon could have been a little bit more interesting, but that's the only thing I'm seeing on here that would be the weakest.
I didn't know what that was. I'm sorry.
Okay.
They use them in dentist offices too, but it's just around the mouth.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
All the kids are into it these days.
Yeah. It's all the rage.
And moving on.
So in the chat, Sarah asked about dates on work. I have an opinion, surprisingly. I would say no. I don't think it adds anything.
Doesn't add anything. You're right. Yeah.
I would remove them.
I would remove them.
I think we mentioned it yesterday that it suddenly dates the work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you do those illustrations, Amy?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Good. Yeah, I like the different arrangement showing that you could take the art of a banner and then turn it into a badge and then turn it into something that's completely different shape. And the components you make are flexible. I think that's always good too. If you give illustrations are great, but if you don't make an illustration that's versatile for all different applications, it shows. So this is nice to see.
And your headline,
away from that justified type if we can. I'm not
Yeah, we mentioned it. Yeah.
Your headline on this goes. It's so nice and subtle, and it goes so well with the illustration. So really good combo there.
Yeah, I agree.
And to piggyback on that a little bit, Amy, you did something very subtle that I think is really cool. It's how you have the artwork intertwined with the type. So the thing goes through the O's, through the counters, and which I think it just kind of brings it all together really well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Fun fact, this is a second Folgers rebrand that we've seen.
Yeah.
So Folgers, if you're watching.
The red one is hard to read with the red background. So you might want to do a gray or something else, or the brick background back there if you're going to keep.
Okay.
Yep. So was that a project where you rebranded Folgers in your class?
Yep, we just got a project to rebrand a company choice.
One thing I would suggest, because isn't it interesting how different both Folgers is? This is really, I feel there's a very nautical and very, that vibe with it. One thing I would suggest is anytime you are doing the rebrand, is explain what was the purpose of the rebrand. We can all look at, I look at under consideration brand new like every day. I love that kind of stuff. And it's so easy to make a comment on a rebrand without knowing the reason why. But if the reason was they wanted a clear, more upscale look compared to all the craft coffee out there, and this was Folgers' chance to move up, make sure that's in your rationale, because then we can say, you know what, might not agree with the rationale or why it was, but you nailed why. You nailed it. So make sure that's in there.
I also want to point out that the Folgers rebrands are two different schools because the other student was one of mine. So it wasn't like
that's what I thought. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a project that was given. It's just two different students thinking Folger needs a rebrand.
But I'm a big fan of that project in classes because it really does. That's a hard thing, especially for you as students to put that in your portfolio. That's something we all know and might love, and you're taking the chance. So kudos.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay.
Nice hand lettering yours.
That one is not mine. That was another collaborative project.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yes.
So when you're doing collaborative, how would y'all suggest people say that? Because I don't know what you did and what your teammate did.
Right.
Yeah, you have the person's names down here, but it doesn't. It's not clear.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what were you responsible for?
Take a look at periodicals or other, like Communication Arts on their website and see the various award winners and see what the credits look like. And I would just suggest to do something like that, lettering or typography, this person, package design, this person, so on and so forth.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay.
Very nice.
And I think Nick said it earlier. Once we start putting it into the aspect ratio of the screen, it's going to bring up all the images a lot better.
Yeah. Because this is like, you got a lot of fun little things going on in all those little pictures, and they just morph together as one. This looks great. I love this kind of stuff.
This is no, these are just mock-ups that I found.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just echo Diane from yesterday. I think it was yesterday, or it may have been at the beginning of today. I don't know. It's all melding together in my head. But when we say the word just, that just completely diminishes whatever comes after that, which was probably a lot of hard work for you.
Okay.
So whenever my students say the word just, I make them say just again. Rick Griffith actually taught me that one. I stole that from him. But if they say just once, they have to say it again to cancel it out. And once they say just a million times, they are done saying that word and eventually stop saying it.
Gotcha.
I'll add the word basically to that list. Basically. Every student starts off, basically what this is. And again, it's the same thing. So I love that you did something fun here. And this is what we were talking about yesterday, where you're showing a series, and how will it change on the lemon one? How will it change on the lime one? How will it change on the lavender? So it's really neat to see how a designer handles all of those the things that stay to the brand, and then what changes per flavor.
Here's one thing I'm going to say on this. I don't want things to be repeated. These lavender sprigs, I wish they weren't all the same number of lavender poppy things. It starts getting really repetitious. I know you flipped it. So I really want people to make more than one. Okay. So that would be a piece of advice I would do.
So more based on nature, more natural, especially if it's a nature-based thing. Yeah.
One thing you did do here, Amy, that I think is really clever is the HER being different colors. So in lather, the her stands out. In shea butter, it's always for her, which is kind of like this little subtle thing that I think was clever. And you're shaving the barcode, which I thought was a kind of like a funny little.
So good, so good.
Thank you.
Put a close up of that one.
You did this one's not collaboratory. This is all you, right?
This is all me. Yes, this was for a package design competition, actually. Okay. So,
And you took those photos?
Wow.
Yes. Yep.
Very nice. Oh gosh, I love that.
There it is.
That's I knew Mitch would light up on that one.
What do you got? What do you want to say?
God, tell me more. What is
about
cool
this one? This was just a project for a zine. I used transparency sheets and I printed them myself, selecting different color channels to as you flip through the zine, it takes away like the blacks and you see what the photo looks like then. And also,
this is something that
I need this.
Yeah, not for us today, but on your website, you might want to shoot a little video of you flipping through this.
Yes,
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes,
really simple. Make sure whoever's hands are in it are like clean and like not nasty.
Manicure.
Yeah.
But really, it's beautiful. It looks super cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a great spot to point out. When we all saw something, I went, like, I haven't seen that mushiness of whatever it was printed on acetate or clear, whatever. We all like woke up. So like, maybe that's like I'm trying to think of how we recap everything we were looking at over the last 2 days, like to give those golden rules, but to have one thing in there that just makes someone go, what?
Yeah.
Love that.
Like, how did you make that?
What was the process? Like, I can't describe it. That's great. I think that, so this one is like, is this on its own, or was this the cover of anything else?
This is a project. I hand make these books.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So, this is a whole project in itself.
Gotcha.
You're covering these with linen and everything?
From linen, yep. And screen printing and doing all that.
So maybe show the process similar to
how about a process?
Yeah, I do have process. I'm just not in these. These are my final things that will be in my portfolio box that I bring to like interviews and stuff. So
portfolio box of things. Good. I don't know if you have the capability, Amy, but of doing some, setting up, even if it's your phone camera, setting up some overhead video and photography of you working on these and flipping through the zine. We need it to really appreciate this.
We very much need it.
This looks so professional that it doesn't look like it's hand done.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I was like, oh, you need to get rid of that bottom image. I want to see the design, right? But so then that's where, the video is going to be incredible.
She's perfect bound this book. Like, holy cow.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
Hard. If you've ever done it, it's like really difficult to do well.
Multiple signatures also. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think that's the end of the portfolio. Maybe have some sort of thing where it shows like a title card, so I know when the beginning and the end is. And she does, to the panel, I don't know if you noticed, but she does have herself in here, but it's very subtle.
Very subtle.
Page.
Yep.
That one's a little darker than the others, but otherwise.
That gets the Mitch seal of approval for branding.
You pass. You're good.
All right.
Yeah, I got to tell you, the only thing in this whole portfolio I was not super into was the first sort of OSU sports stuff, like right in the middle.
Tell me when to stop.
Yeah, keep going. That. Back. Yep, like that and that are kind of not at the level of the rest of the work.
Okay.
Like, it's not bad. It's just the other work is so good.
Sure.
I just don't think you need it.
And I bet that was actual real work on campus, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I know that you want to show this because it was technically made and real. The stuff I would do is let this be part of your resume. Talk about the fact that you had an on-campus position where your stuff was on campus. You had real things that were produced. Put this more in your experience pocket, not so much your portfolio. I know it's tough because I got to edit some crap on mine right now. Trust me.
Awesome.
Any final questions, Amy, for the panel?
I don't think so. I think that was awesm.
Yeah. Very entertaining.
Awesome.
Very
Amy.
Good job, Amy.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it, everyone. Now do you guys still have a few minutes to spend?
Yes,
or you guys
absolutely.
All right, so now I know we're way over. We're like 47 minutes over.
Keep going.
Which is fine. Andrew was going to cut to us at some point, but that wasn't able to happen, which that's fine too. I do want to thank the panelists and the great conversation that we've had in chat. So, but I do want to take maybe 10 minutes or so to really quickly, because we don't have that much time, if there's anybody that has any final questions, either for the panels or for each other, I would like you to ask now, and then the panel can answer. I would also like to take this opportunity to say that you students, the faculty on this panel, we all kind of know each other. I've met Mitch and Nick in the last few days. I've known Mina and Diane for the past few years because we did something else together, and we all become like really kind of like good friends and share ideas, stuff like that. So, and we share like, oh, what do you do in your class? Because we leave the competition to the football teams. We don't really kind of like, to us, it's more about the community, right? So I encourage you guys to do the same thing with each other. So share each other's social stuff online, even if you didn't participate in the portfolio reviews, go ahead and put your stuff online and try to make those collaborations and bridges, because our community is all about community, right?
More than ever now, right?
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
So,
your work will be better for that community.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you have any questions now that you want to unmute your microphone while I figure out how to, how to undo full screen on my screen. There we go. Go ahead and ask now, or.
So I see, where was it? Sarah asked about physically printed portfolio. Do you need it?
We talked about this yesterday. So
what's about yesterday?
I'm sorry?
I kind of so. If you're going to physically talk to a human being in a building, I think like I could flip there for a PDF without you having to bother coming in.
Yeah.
And what I said yesterday, I'll say it again. The best portfolio is a pile full of the stuff you made, like in a box. Like that's it. Here's all the stuff I did, and you just pull it out and show it. So I kind of like a physical sort of box, but I'm a little old school, I guess.
All right. And I will say, so one of my students just had Emily, who was here earlier, actually, she took a midterm printed portfolio. So it wasn't even the final one to one of her job interviews. And they were super impressed.
A nice leave behind. If you need a leave behind, that's always a good thing to have a printed for, right? That you could do. But when we were talking yesterday about your budget and printing, we get that can be expensive. I love your idea of PDFs are free. So just like, man, there's no boundaries with the digital format. And there's no boundaries how many options and how many versions of you can that you can have.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
I mean, you can consider a digital portfolio an extension of your printed portfolio. That makes a lot of sense, especially if you have imagery that moves, or if you've got motion work or anything like that, that is even augmented reality or anything like that, that you feel would be best represented on screen. There is no reason you can't have a component like that to your physical printed piece. But I 100% agree. What are we going to do? We're going to sit around a desktop computer and like me turn it on my desk so that we can all look at your.
Yeah.
You know, that feels awkward. You know.
Yeah.
So,
I would also, if I could add about about PDFs a little bit too, is consider the size of these things, because you know there is an option in PDFs that says smallest file size, and just through these portfolio reviews that we did today and yesterday, I got some of you guys who sent me an 8 meg portfolio, but there's one that's 330 meg, and then there's the other one is 231. So you have to be really considerate as to, you know, when you send these things, how long is it going to take to download and things like that, because some of you sent me like really big files. So I'm not going to call anybody out today. And and also during these particular times as educators, all of us are also striking a balance with what type of technology is available to our students. So even we at this time are saying, okay, how large are the files that we are asking you to download? If we're asking you to peer evaluate and you're looking at somebody else's PDF to give them feedback, how large is the file you're asking them to download? You never know if they're having to use their own data for that kind of thing, or where they're going to be when they're doing that. So being really aware of what you're asking the person who's receiving your work to do in order to look at your work, that shows a level of professionalism as well. Absolutely. Thank you. Any other questions that you guys might have? And again, feel free to unmute yourself and just go ahead and ask.
Or to DM us if you, you know, think of it later.
Come on, Rubai. I know you're not shy.
I actually have one question for you guys.
Cortland.
Go ahead and say your name, because I don't know who's speaking.
It's Cortland.
Cortland. Okay.
It was Cortland. I was wondering. Sorry, my camera's dark. Whenever, because of everything going on with the coronavirus currently, would you guys suggest reaching out more to the designers specifically that are on the teams you're wanting to reach to for internships? Or, because that's the one thing I'm worried about, is my emails getting buried underneath like all these companies' emails, especially with it being remote right now.
Why not hit them up on LinkedIn and say, instead of the internship, that might be stretching at this point. Maybe it's more of a, can I get 10 minutes of your time and ask you a few questions regarding where you're at in your career? I'm striving to be in that role. You know, that might be something you can do that way.
Absolutely.
Because it's tough. I know what you're saying. You don't want to be fishing right now at this time, and being that kind of proactive in like talking about roles or internships. Have a meet and greet over Skype.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you. That's really helpful.
Yeah, and be relentless about this. Like if you're sending an email to somebody, also hit them up on LinkedIn and say, hey, I know I sent you an email about this, but I also wanted to see if we could interface and, you know, whatever jargon you want to use. But you could do that, and just a little follow-up. Don't be afraid to give the follow-up, and then leave it at that.
Don't get off
pester.
And stop. Good question, though. Good question.
Okay. We have time for one more question, if anybody has one. One more question. No? And there's none in
the chat does reflect one. How important is LinkedIn in your experience as a creative? I think that's a good one. What types of socials do you guys, or do we all sort of collectively sort of gather around the design campfire, if you will?
It has different reasons, like right? What were you gonna say, Vic?
For visual stimulation, I'll go to Instagram mostly. I do have a Dribbble account, but I don't really do too much Dribbble. But I will say the nice thing about LinkedIn is that people post a lot of cool stuff about their work, and it's just about the work. a lot of you don't go to LinkedIn and get into the rabbit hole of politics or any other, like, you know, what I ate for dinner or kids or anything like that. It's just about the work, which is nice when it comes to like a break from everything else. So, you know, if I just want to see what somebody's doing, a cool project, a lot of times they post it on LinkedIn. So that's one of the things. Mitch, you were nodding your head. So
yeah, LinkedIn is professional, period.
Yeah.
There's no space on LinkedIn for anything other than professional conversations. If you want to make stupid memes, that you go to Twitter, you know. So I agree. Yeah, I think that you've got to be completely on your game on LinkedIn.
And
it's as much your resume as your resume.
Yes.
You know, you've really got to know what you're doing.
Maybe even more.
Maybe even more. Yeah, I agree.
Diane, any follow-up or add-ons?
I agree. I think LinkedIn is untapped right now. They're not controlling like the algorithm in Facebook or Instagram. It's not as controlled right now. So this is really a good time for you to be out there. One thing is don't be so have to be in the spotlight. Go in and listen. There are groups, listen, hear what people are saying. And then if you have something you can comment or ask good questions, asking good questions makes a big impact, right?
And the way to do that is to be a good observer.
Yep.
Yes. LinkedIn does have a background score on you based on your engagement. So the more you are commenting, posting, even just checking on it, the higher chances you have of being found when someone's going to look for specifics in your profile. So keep that in mind. That's why I always told my students, like, even if you don't enjoy being over there and it's not the flashiness and the sexiness of Instagram, whatever you posted on there for your work, just put it on LinkedIn too. Why not? I've seen great stuff happen from alumni, and a lot of them are in our chat right now. They are so good on LinkedIn. I love that, and I'm really proud of that.
And take the time to take one more step and put your name on your LinkedIn address, as opposed to, which it seems like a lot of people here have it, as opposed to linkedin.com/whatever/12345 D or whatever it is.
Oh, but you could change that. You know, that you can make, it's called like a vanity URL. I think it is on there. You get a default, go in there and make sure you claim your in longo, whatever you want.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. So it'd be a little bit more unique to you.
Yeah. Cool. I have a, while we're still on here, I have a PDF that's all about LinkedIn, in particular, like a workshop and a tune-up for it. Let me see if I can find that. Keep talking.
Do you mind if we share with our students too, or is this something that we have?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right.
Anybody else?
So while he's looking for that, I do want to thank you, because it does take a lot of guts to come here. And this video is going to be on YouTube in 10 years when you guys are creative directors or whatever. You're going to look back on it and say, wow, this is what I put in this is what I showed Mitch Goldstein and Diane Gibbs and Mina Khalili, the potato, and Nick Longo. It's like, this is what we do. So, you know, that's all right. That's all in our history. So
I agree. It takes a lot of guts to come up here and go on the internet with all your work. So
congratulations on that. All right, Nick just shared the link.
Yep, there it is.
And Mina is a potato, so we must be a deal.
All right.
That's great. And guys, anybody else, feel free to reach out to us individually. If you didn't ask us anything here. We are having a blast at this last few days.
Are we doing this again next week?
I'm down.
We might.
I know that Nick, and do you want to talk about what you're doing, or?
Yeah, so a week from this Friday, both Andrew and myself are going to have a weekly show on Adobe Live every Friday, and it will be portfolio reviews, portfolio prep. I'm going to probably reach out to you guys to come and guest appear as well. So we're building the show right now, but it should be a blast. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Really something. So you guys are more than welcome to come and participate 100%.
You got
this has to keep going on. This has to keep going on.
I agree.
And the students, guys, you really are very brave. I'm just going to echo what's been said. You're very brave to come here and to do this. I know that it's hard. I have been you. We have all been there. So it takes a lot of courage to do this. So well done today.
Well, thank you. All right. So on that note, thanks again to all the students. We really appreciate you being here. Big thank you to, if you guys can do like a virtual clap for everybody. I know we'd like to hear it, but for Nick Longo and Diane Gibbs and Mitch Goldstein, there we go, and Mina Khalili. We appreciate you being our panel, and a big shout out to Andrew Hochradel for doing this crazy thing. once
Victor,
you're done,
and you.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Victor.
Let's call. He's the maestro from this point on. I'm sorry.
That's true. Thank you. And Canceled Con isn't done yet. We still have Josh Ariza's coming up, Voodoo Val, Ayanna Campbell-Smith, which is one of my former students, Thad Carpenter, Scotty Russell, Rob Zilla's coming up tonight, Sid Weiler. It's going to be a great day, so keep tuning into everything that we have going on up there.
Perfect.
But otherwise, until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everybody.